Chapter 1366. Unparalleled. The 8th floor was probably going to be extraordinary. Boom! A pitch-black silhouette jumped into the tornado. However, demonic energies oppressed him, and his face turned deathly pale. The wind was oppressive. It was even more powerful near the entrance of the 8th floor. Rise! That person tried to rise up, but he couldn't make it far before those energies started hurting him. Boom! Demon chi rotated around his body, and he continued trying to go up. The 7th floor had so many great treasures, so the 8th floor would be even better. He took 4 steps, only 3 away from reaching the entrance, but he couldn't continue. Rumbling sounds appeared as he was propelled downwards and crashed onto the ground. Phew! That person took a deep breath and pulled a long face. He could have died. I'm definitely going to get to the 8th floor, thought that cultivator, annoyed. He tried again, but this time, he was propelled even farther away. It seemed like they only had one opportunity. How could a demon be oppressed? Said a cultivator coldly. He glanced at the one who had failed and jumped into the wind. He released demonic energies, but once he sensed that wind, his facial expression changed drastically. However, he continued rising up. After 3 steps, he realized how powerful the wind was. His body almost exploded, but he had only managed to take 4 steps. The other demonic cultivators were staring at him, looking a little concerned. 2 people had failed, and they only had 1 chance. The 3rd and the 4th failed too, only 4 steps as well. The 5th one finally managed to take 5 steps, but then came back down. The 8th person took 6 steps, amazing everybody. 1 more step, and he'd be on the 8th floor. Boom boom! That cultivator suddenly crashed onto the ground and coughed up blood. He looked furious. 1 more step. What a pity. He had failed, but he could be proud of himself still. 3 people were left. They seemed to be practicing cultivation though. They were studying the last 3 statues. Even after receiving the transmissions from the statues, they could continue studying, but it wasn't as efficient. Finally, someone opened his eyes. He jumped into the tornado, groaned furiously, and took 6 steps. 1 more step and it'd be the 8th floor, but that last step was difficult. Arg! That person raised his head and shouted, and demonic chi dashed to the skies. His body felt like it was going to explode. His body turned red, but he continued and made great efforts. However, when he reached the 8th floor, a demon roared furiously. The ground quaked, and that cultivator was violently propelled back to their level. He had failed. He sat down cross-legged and healed himself. Nobody dared underestimate him though, for he had almost succeeded. The 10th person made 6 steps and failed again. The crowd felt relieved. They weren't weak. It was just that the wind was too terrifying. They were on the 7th floor for a reason. The 3 people on the 8th floor were incredibly strong. Of course, they would catch up someday. They just had to persevere. 1 person left, thought the group, looking at Lin Feng. He was bathing in death chi, so no one wanted to get close to him. He had left the ice and snow shrine, and had come to the demon shrine. Surprisingly, he was an incredible demon cultivator, who understood death intent. That death intent contains death abstruse energy level 3 even. With that, he could kill cultivators of the first Zun Chi layer in the blink of an eye, thought some of the others. 2 people had tried to study it before, but they had failed because Lin Feng had been faster than them. Humph! 2 cultivators groaned and looked at Lin Feng. Bzzz. At that moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes and death intent projected outwards. He turned around. His eyes were pitch black as he fixedly stared at those 2 people. Tap tap. The 2 cultivators took steps backwards. Quaking sounds appeared as the one who had looked at Lin Feng in a cold way before sensed that his life was being taken. But that was just a sensation. It had only lasted for a few seconds. Lin Feng glanced at them in a calm way, before he turned his attention to the tornado. Even he didn't say anything. He knew that the others there could kill him. 8th floor. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. That tornado was the only way to the 8th floor, and there was only 1 chance. Lin Feng didn't hesitate as he jumped into the tornado. He sensed the demonic chi oppressing him, as well as the energies from outside the tornado. When I went to Tiantai, I was weaker and had only broken through to the Tian Chi layer. Now that I've broken through to the Zun Chi layer, How could a trivial wind prevent me from moving? Thought Lin Feng, feeling determined. Even though he still had some powers he wasn't aware of, in a few years, he had become a lot stronger and more confident in himself. Boom! Lin Feng rose up in the air. The space was distorted as Lin Feng made 3 steps. The energies got more intense with step. Lin Feng took a deep breath and made another step. Lin Feng raised his head and stared at the top with his pitch-black eyes. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously as he made the 6th step. One more step and he'd succeed. Slash slash. His body felt like it was going to explode. Blood splashed everywhere as Lin Feng was wounded. However, he refused to fail even if he ended up seriously injured. As long as he didn't die, it didn't matter. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously. Now Dragon Chance hummed as his 9-headed dragon appeared. Lin Feng raised his foot to make the 7th step. Swallow! Shouted Lin Feng. His 9 dragon heads absorbed the powerful demonic qi. Rise! Lin Feng raised his foot. He couldn't die, he had to succeed no matter what. Boom boom! Lin Feng suddenly disappeared, leaving the 10 others in awe. The cultivator who came from the ice and snow shrine had managed to make it to the 8th floor. He had passed the test while they had failed. That cultivator of the 2nd Zunqi layer had almost died. He was wounded, blood had splashed everywhere, his skin, his bones, his organs felt sore. But he didn't back down. Boom! Lin Feng arrived on the 8th floor. He immediately released life energies to recover. After that passage to the 8th floor, his demonic abstruse energy was now level 5, and he had reached the top of the 2nd Zunqi layer. Lin Feng was defying the laws of cultivation. Chapter 1367. 4 Demon Kings Demon Shrine 8th floor. Lin Feng looked around and saw 3 other people. They were sitting cross-legged in different corners of the room. They were staring at the walls and demon energies were flowing throughout their bodies. Lin Feng looked at the walls. There were dazzling picture scrolls everywhere, and demon energies were continuously flowing from them. 4 ancient books. Lin Feng's heart started racing as he released his godly awareness to inspect them. All those picture scrolls had demon kings on them. Demon kings. Lin Feng inspected the picture scroll in front of him. The image became even more distinct, but he had a strange sensation though. It was as if his godly awareness couldn't see the demon king clearly. I'm on the 8th floor, so the demon kings have to be stronger than the demon generals on the 7th floor. Maybe those demon kings are actually demon emperors, or even great emperors. Thought Lin Feng, excited. What were those 12 shrines exactly? Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and released his celestial book spirit. He sat down in his own demonic territory, and then his eyes became even darker. The picture scroll appeared in front of him. Energies pierced through his eyes and into his brain. Slash slash. Lin Feng suddenly coughed up blood. He lowered his head and took in a deep breath. It felt like he was turning into a demon. How terrifying, thought Lin Feng. His spirit helped him see things more clearly, but as soon as he saw the demon king more clearly, a gigantic person 100 meters tall appeared, seemingly capable of crushing entire populations. Lin Feng saw him and instantly thought he was going to die. He had had to stop looking at it suddenly. A few more seconds and he would have died. A demon king. His consciousness can turn into a gigantic town and kill millions of people, thought Lin Feng. He had seen a gigantic city, and there were ruins even. Was that the holy city? Whispered Lin Feng. He now understood that he couldn't always use his spirit to study things. On the 7th and 8th floors, the demons were terrifying and could injure him, or even kill him if he inspected them too closely. That book was an insane demon. What about the other 3? Lin Feng turned around and looked at the other picture scrolls. His eyes became pitch black again as he inspected them. He had the same sensation as before. However, without using his spirit, he couldn't know what they were. I first need to understand what those demon kings are, and then I will choose which one I am interested in, thought Lin Feng. There were 4 scrolls, and Lin Feng wasn't sure how many he could study, so he had to find out what they were first, and then he'd choose the one he wanted the most. Lin Feng looked at the 2nd picture scroll and inspected it with his celestial book spirit. When he checked it, Quaking sounds quickly ensured and blood splashed. His face turned deathly pale. A glance can destroy the earth and sky, thought Lin Feng. He had observed the landscape and thought the earth and sky were going to collapse. Lin Feng had had to break his connection to that world just to retreat. Even emperors could have been destroyed by those energies. Lin Feng suddenly felt cold. He stopped studying that part of the wall. Someone who was studying that part of the wall opened his eyes and looked at Lin Feng in a cold way. "I'm so sorry, I didn't want to offend you," said Lin Feng, nodding and apologizing. He had interrupted someone while he was cultivating. Lin Feng would have been furious too if someone had done that to him. That person looked at Lin Feng for a few seconds and then started practicing again. He had no time to waste. Lin Feng moved back and looked at the picture scroll. Then he used his spirit and inspected it. There was a demon king. The space was distorted. The earth and sky seemed like they were going to collapse. Everybody had died in that landscape, their blood staining the ground. Lin Feng had the impression his organs were going to explode. It looked so real. One shout and the world can collapse. What a terrifying cultivator. Probably a great demon emperor, thought Lin Feng. Those demon emperors were all great emperors. If someday he became that strong, he'd be able to destroy cultivation emperors just by glancing at them. Ba Huang and Jiuyu would just be playgrounds for him. Lin Feng released his own demonic qi, even more determined to become a strong cultivator. Since he had decided to practice demon cultivation, he wished he would become a great demon emperor. Of course, he wasn't going to give up his other types of cultivation. There's the fourth picture scroll as well. Then, Lin Feng looked at the last picture scroll using his spirit. This time, he saw a demon king swallow the sky. He looked furious as did so. Which one should I study first? Thought Lin Feng. He looked at the first one, the blurry picture. It was an aggressive and almighty demon king, who was 100 meters tall. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and studied it. Luckily for him, the three others in the room were studying the other picture scrolls. So he was the only one studying that picture scroll. He studied the characters written on the picture scroll, and words floated around his brain. Just like Lin Feng had thought, those were demonic scriptures but different ones. Lights surrounded Lin Feng, and demonic energies flowed around his body. Dark clouds appeared as a silhouette slowly condensed, becoming bigger and bigger. Lin Feng studied the picture scroll, but didn't realize that a demon was slowly appearing behind him. Something happened behind the three others as well. A sky-absorbing demon appeared behind one of the other cultivators, and it was blurry as well. The one who was studying the picture scroll with the terrifying demon vision suddenly saw something, and sharp lights twinkled in his eyes. Behind the one who was studying the demon with the terrifying voice, nothing appeared, but strange sounds surrounded him. Chapter 1368. Leaving the shrine. I can actually invoke a demon using that picture scroll. Even though Lin Feng was practicing cultivation, he knew what was going on behind him. That picture scroll contained an extensive knowledge and profound scholarship. Lin Feng hadn't expected it to be so complex. He already had 3 books: the Demon Scriptures, the 10,000 Things of Creation Scriptures, and the 3 Lives Scriptures. Besides, the 3 Lives Demon Emperor had transmitted a part of the Xiao Yao ancient scriptures to Lin Feng, and he was always working on improving it. Apart from these, Lin Feng also obtained ancient scriptures in the Ice and Snow Shrine, imperial scriptures on the Moon and Sun fusion. Lin Feng may have been the last one to start practicing with the scrolls, but he wasn't any slower than the others. The demon behind him was already 10 meters high. He was bending over and looking at the others. The cultivator studying the sky-absorbing demon was comparable with Lin Feng. Their scrolls were becoming more and more dazzling as the demons behind them became more distinct. Arg! A deep groan. The scroll turned into a dazzling light and moved towards the strong cultivator. The demon behind him shouted and released qi at the mouth of that strong cultivator. After that, the cultivator slowly turned around and looked at the 3 others in a cold way. He slowly walked towards Lin Feng. The sky-absorbing demon behind him looked terrifying. Lin Feng was practicing cultivation. His demonic intent was rolling in waves, and the picture scroll he was studying started shaking. Arg! The sky-absorbing demon roared, seemingly wanting to eat Lin Feng alive. Roar, roar! The demon behind Lin Feng was furious. Swallow! Shouted the cultivator furiously. His picture scroll was already finished, but Lin Feng was still one step away from finishing, so the sky-absorbing demon still had time to swallow Lin Feng's demon. Come! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. The picture scroll turned into a demonic light and penetrated into his body. Then his demon roared furiously and ran towards the sky-absorbing demon. The sky-absorbing demon and the large demon faced each other. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and looked at the young man with his pitch-black eyes. Not bad. I wouldn't have thought that you'd learn it so fast, said that young man. He walked towards the other two, who immediately stood up and looked at him. What's that supposed to mean? Said a person. Did the one who studied the sky-absorbing picture scroll want to attack them because he'd already finished? Nothing. If you can study the picture scrolls in here, then so can I, said that person, before he sat down cross-legged. Humph. The other one groaned coldly and sat down again. He didn't fear that the other cultivator would learn any faster than him. The other one continued studying as if nothing had happened, but he was a bit nervous. Lin Feng looked at them, but he didn't care about the other picture scrolls. Lin Feng was wondering what was going on in the outside world. He had to leave soon. Exit. Lin Feng looked at a certain wall, which seemed to have a door. I should go. Lin Feng had learnt a lot in Jiuyu already. He had arrived with the strength of the 9th Tianqi layer, and now he had broken through to the 2nd Zunqi layer. Even his abstruse energies had improved. I wonder if Yi Run is alright, thought Lin Feng. The envoy of the Ice and Snow Shrine said that he'd take care of her, so Lin Feng didn't need to worry too much. Lin Feng crossed the door and arrived in another space, an area with many doors and things written on them. Desolate Demon Town, Hell Region, Underworld Empire. Lin Feng read the names of places. He had heard of the Underworld Empire before. It was an empire in Jiuyu. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it and crossed the door to the Underworld Empire. The space changed, and after a while, he appeared in a dark palace. Lin Feng left the palace and came across a majestic mountain. Many people were waiting there as Lin Feng came out. People stared at him. He was surrounded by demonic lights, but they didn't know him. He hadn't gone to the demon shrine from the Underworld Empire entrance. Who are you? Asked a demon to Lin Feng. He was the leader of the empire, a cultivation emperor. My name is Mu Feng. The envoy of the demon shrine told me to come out from here, said Lin Feng calmly. He inspected the aura surrounding Lin Feng's body and said nothing. Lin Feng could prove he was from the demon shrine, so they couldn't offend him. The leader also knew that the demon shrine could kill him if they wished, even if he was an emperor. Mister, I need to go to the Bahuang province, said Lin Feng. Are you from Bahuang? Asked that person. He was skeptical because he had never seen Lin Feng before. I came from Bahuang, and I went to the Ice and Snow Shrine, but I'm a demon cultivator, so I was teleported to the demon shrine, explained Lin Feng. The Ice and Snow Shrine and the demon shrine are connected? Asked that cultivator. As soon as he finished talking, a cultivator appeared and shouted, The 12 shrines are connected, but only those who reached the 7th floor could know about that. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the person who was shouting. He had seen him on the 7th floor of the demon shrine. Chapter 1369. Going back to Bahuang, the 12 shrines are now connected, the emperor whispered. He glanced at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had teleported from the Ice and Snow Shrine to the demon shrine. So did he also have ice skills? I didn't know the Ice Emperor had a son called Mu Feng. I've also never heard of the Ice Emperor letting anyone from the Bahuang province go to the Ice and Snow Shrine, said the emperor, still skeptical. Mister, I come from Bahuang, but my girlfriend is the daughter of the Snow Leader. I was allowed to go to the Ice and Snow Shrine because I was with my girlfriend, said Lin Feng. He really wanted to go back to Bahuang, so he had to be honest. I see. You and Xiao Yi can go together then. He's going to Bahuang as well, said the emperor, pointing at a young man. He's going as well? Lin Feng said. The meeting of the emperors was going to start soon, and the meeting of the Imperial Union was also going to start. I'm from Devamara Palace, and my name is Xiaoyu. Let's go together, said the young man smiling. He was from the mysterious Devamara Palace, an influential imperial group from the sanguinary part of Ba Huang. It seems like I underestimated Ba Huang, thought Lin Feng. Ba Huang and Jiuyu had so many connections. Xiaoyu came from the Devamara Palace in Ba Huang, and he had joined the Demon Shrine. Xikong Clan and Qi Qianrun had also appeared in the Empty Space Shrine. He hadn't seen everybody on the first floors of the shrines, but maybe he knew some of them who had been there. Besides, it meant that apart from Qi Qianrun and Xikong Xiao, some other members of the Qi clan and the Xikong clan had been to the shrines, but they hadn't reached the 7th floor. All right, thank you, said Lin Feng, nodding back at Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu nodded at the emperor and his silhouette flickered, Lin Feng quickly following behind him. Mu Feng, brother, your demon cultivation is incredible. Why have I never seen you? Whom do you follow? Asked Xiaoyu smiling. I've been hiding in the mountains and practicing cultivation both day and night. I'm not very well known, and I've only been in Ba Huang for a short time, explained Lin Feng. Xiaoyu knew that Lin Feng didn't feel like talking about it, so he didn't ask anything else. Mu Feng, brother, you reached the 8th floor of the Demon Shrine. Maybe that you can tell me something about it, because I'm too curious, said Xiaoyu. He had reached the 7th floor, but only Lin Feng had managed to reach the 8th floor. No problem. The 7th and the 8th floors are similar. On the 7th floor, we had 18 demon generals. On the 8th floor, there were 4 picture scrolls, each containing a great demon emperor's image. After understanding them, the picture scrolls merged with the cultivator's body, replied Lin Feng. Demon Great Emperor picture scrolls. Xiaoyu smiled and said, Did you get one of them? I did, but I don't know what I can use it for. Haha, you're more talented than me though, said Xiaoyu smiling. They soon arrived in a den with strong guards, but they didn't pay any attention to them. They knew Xiaoyu, so they let them pass. They both crossed the entrance, which was like the entrance of the Ice and Snow Empire, a long corridor. Quickly they arrived at a junction. It was the junction of 12 roads. There aren't as many people as last time, said Lin Feng glancing around. The meeting of the emperors in Ba Huang and the Imperial Union meeting were going to take place soon. How long do we have before the meeting of the emperors? Asked Lin Feng. It's tomorrow, said Xiaoyu smiling. Mu Feng also wanted to go to the meeting of the emperors? Where? Asked Lin Feng. Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng in a strange way. Lin Feng didn't know where the meeting of the emperors was? Maybe he was telling the truth about being in Ba Huang for only a short time. In eastern Ba Huang, the Qi clan is the main clan in eastern part Ba Huang, and the event is planned to take place on Qi Tian Peak, explained Xiaoyu. The Qi clan in eastern Ba Huang. What a coincidence. Let's hurry up, said Lin Feng. Then he started running using the Xiao Yao agility technique. Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng, and then looked at the ground. Lin Feng was leaving trails behind him as he ran. They even contained marks. The Xiao Yao agility technique interesting, thought Xiaoyu surprised. His silhouette flickered, and he caught up with Lin Feng. There was absolutely nobody on the way over. Xikong Xiao, Qi Qianrun and Qi Tiansu are there too, thought Lin Feng, looking in the distance. He saw a dozen Zun cultivators. The strongest one had broken through to the 6th Zun Qi layer. They were all heading back to Jiuyu. The Qi clan and the Xikong clan seemed to be very close. The influential groups of Ba Huang were mysterious to Lin Feng. He couldn't understand those imperial clans. The crowd also saw Lin Feng and Xiaoyu. The Xikong clan looked at Lin Feng and smiled. Your Excellency, here we meet again. Lin Feng looked at him. Xikong Xiao had broken through to the 3rd Zun Qi layer, and was a bit stronger than before. He had been to the Empty Space Shrine, and had probably learnt a lot there. Qi Tiansu has broken through to the 5th Zun Qi layer. He used to be one of the 10 strongest young cultivators back in the day, but even he didn't reach the 7th floor. Determination, understanding abilities and cultivation levels are all very different things. Brother Xiao, is he from the Devamara Palace? Asked Xikong Xiao after waiting for Lin Feng to reply. He was a demon cultivator, so he could be a cultivator from the Devamara Palace. I and Mu Feng haven't known each other for a long time. Do you know him too? asked Xiaoyu indifferently. Haha, I saw him in Shuiyu last time. He had only broken through to the 9th Tianqi layer back then, but was still stronger than me, said Xikong Xiao smiling. Mu Feng and you have similar levels. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the meeting of the emperors, said Xiaoyu, and then he left with Lin Feng. Mu Feng, thought Xikong Xiao laughing and looking at Lin Feng. Lin Feng died and suddenly a Mu Feng appeared. Geniuses are rising in Bahuang and Jiuyu. Lin Feng or Mu Feng, both will die because the Qi clan and the Xikong clan will destroy their enemies, said Qi Qianren. Haha, of course, said Xikong Xiao. The future belonged to them. After an hour, Lin Feng and Xiaoyu arrived at the exit. Just like in Jiuyu, there were several exits, even more than in Jiuyu. All the exits represented an influential imperial group. Those roads lead to the Qi clan and the celestial palace of the immortals in eastern Bahuang. We should go there if we want to be at the meeting on time, explained Xiaoyu. We have to go through the Qi clan or the celestial palace of the immortals. Indeed, we have to choose one road. Which one do you want to choose? I'm going to the celestial palace of the immortals first, said Lin Feng. Xiaoyu looked at him and said, Lin Feng, the emperor of the celestial palace of the immortals is very sick, so it's dangerous there. You should go to the Qi clan. Nah, it's fine. I'm sure I want to go to the celestial palace of the immortals, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. He couldn't take the risk of crossing the Qi clan. Even though he was disguised, it was still too dangerous. All right, I'll see you on Qi Tian Peak, said Xiaoyu, smiling before leaving. Chapter 1370, Junemo Shi, and the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. The Celestial Palace of the Immortals was located on a lofty mountain. Nowadays, the Celestial Palace of the Immortals was losing their emperor, and people were paying particular attention to their ongoings. The emperor had transmitted his knowledge to Junemo Shi, and had hoped he'd become an emperor before he died. Someone came out of a cave on the mountainside, but nobody paid any attention to him. The celestial palace of the immortals had become desolate those days. Of course there was a teleportation portal leading there, but they didn't need to guard it. They just had to pay attention to some of the people going in and out. At that moment, two silhouettes flickered and landed in front of the cave. There was a young man wearing black clothes with pitch-black eyes. He had only broken through to the second Zunqi layer, but he looked extraordinary. Who are you? Shouted someone furiously while releasing Qi. I came for the meeting of the emperors. I just used your portal. Sorry for the inconvenience, said Lin Feng politely and calmly. Is that an excuse to use it as you wish? Said the other one. I know Junemo Shi, your young master. If he was here, he would definitely allow me to use it, said Lin Feng. The two people frowned. He knew Junemo Shi? They glanced at each other and looked at Lin Feng. You must die for not respecting the celestial palace of the immortals. Boom! Energy surrounded Lin Feng, and a gigantic golden hand appeared above him. Lin Feng was surprised by their sudden decision. He released demonic qi and rose up in the air while shouting furiously, Junemo Shi, come out! His voice spread far away. Bzzz bzzz. Those silhouettes rose up higher in the air. Where were Junemo Shi and Xiao Dai? You really want to die? Shouted the two cultivators, rushing over to Lin Feng. Lin Feng released wind abstruse energies and dodged away from them. What's going on? Shouted a middle-aged man looking at Lin Feng. He entered our territory without permission using the teleportation portal. I don't know where he's from, said the two people. I'm looking for Junemo Shi, said Lin Feng. The man looked at him in a cold way. You entered the celestial palace of the immortals without permission. So I agree, you must die. Right. Everybody nodded. Stop! Shouted someone furiously. A young man appeared wearing fine clothes. It was Junemo Shi. Junemo Shi glanced at the crowd and then at Lin Feng. Why are you looking for me? Lin Feng took out a hot unit bottle and threw it at Lin Feng. Junemo Shi caught the bottle and smelt the pleasant fragrance from that familiar alcohol. Junemo Shi broke the bottle and absorbed the alcohol. His face instantly turned red. So tasty, do you have some more? Asked Junemo Shi, smiling. I do, there was a lot in Dragon Mountain, said Lin Feng, taking out another hot unit bottle, and threw it at Jun Emoshi. "I'll keep them, I don't drink enough anymore," said Jun Emoshi. He knew that it was Lin Feng in disguise. "Since someone wants to see me, why do you want to kill them?" said Jun Emoshi to the two cultivators. He had power in the celestial palace of the immortals, because he had received the teachings of the emperor. He had already broken through to the 4th Zunqi layer even. The emperor wouldn't see Jun Emoshi become an emperor though. He might survive 10 more years at most. The old man had taken great efforts to make Jun Emoshi get that strong already. After hearing Jun Emoshi, they nervously replied, "He came in without permission." "They're right, people who come in without permission must die, especially during these times," said the middle-aged man calmly. "I didn't ask you anything," said Jun Emoshi to the middle-aged man. "Jun Emoshi, respect your elders. You're Xiao Dai's future husband, so you should call me uncle. Right now, I'm the young master of the celestial palace of the immortals, so watch your words," said Jun Emoshi. The middle-aged man was speechless, but Jun Emoshi ignored him. He walked towards the two cultivators who had tried to kill Lin Feng. "You're not respectful. You didn't bow in front of me, and you humiliated me. Thus you've humiliated the emperor. You should die," said Jun Emoshi. One of them moved back, but at the same time, it seemed like he was paralyzed. A gigantic hand struck his head and he exploded. The other one's face turned deathly pale. His silhouette flickered as he tried to escape, but Jun Emoshi caught up with him and slapped him. His body then exploded. "How strong," thought Lin Feng. Those two had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer, and they were strong cultivators inside the celestial palace of the immortals. But in front of Jun Emoshi they were mere insects. "The old man is not dead yet. If anyone disrespects him, I'll kill them," said Jun Emoshi. Then he nodded at Lin Feng. Lin Feng followed Jun Emoshi and they left. The middle-aged man was left sitting there with a sour face. Jun Emoshi was becoming terrifying, and his imperial immortal body was a force to be reckoned with. Xiao Dai's uncle was concerned that he wouldn't get his share of the power. Jun Emoshi took Lin Feng away from the mountain, before he turned around and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at him back. And then they smiled. Jun Emoshi was wearing his robe of righteousness while Lin Feng was wearing a pitch-black demonic robe. "I now know that if they tried to kill you, it wouldn't have been easy," said Jun Emoshi laughing. "How have you been?" "I'm alright, the situation seems to be difficult for you though," said Lin Feng. "You probably know that the emperor wanted me to be his descendant, but many people didn't want that. They wanted to steal the treasures from the celestial palace of the immortals after the emperor's death," said Jun Emoshi. Lin Feng nodded. Yuan Fei had told him that the celestial palace of the immortals was dangerous. The emperor wasn't dead, but it was only a matter of days, months, or maybe even years. Chapter 1371. No need to think thrice to kill people. The Qitian Peak was situated at an extreme altitude, so high that it pierced the clouds. There were 36 mountains in front of the Qitian Peak, and on the top of each mountain was a plateau. A deep valley situated itself between the mountains. These mountains didn't seem to be naturally occurring, as if someone had made them. There were probably 100,000 people residing on each plateau, and the valley between the 36 mountains was hundreds of kilometers long, filled with even more people. There was a group of people on the eastern side. They were wearing a black robe, and his eyes were pitch black. Obviously it was Lin Feng. Everybody in Ba Huang came for the meeting of the emperors, thought Lin Feng glancing around the crowd's people. Some people are already fighting on that mountain, even though the meeting of the emperors hasn't started yet, said someone pointing at a mountain peak. There was a huge battle there and blood was flying. Hee. All the influential groups from Ba Huang are enemies now. The Qi clan and the Sikong clan fought the Wen clan in the brutal part of Ba Huang. All the other groups fought the bestial imperial palace. Tiantai fought against Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan. The cultivators from those groups are so quick to kill each other. Only cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer and emperors try to control themselves, said someone else next to Lin Feng. Even though the meeting of the emperors was going to start in a few hours, things were already heating up. Lin Feng glanced around. He was looking for people he knew, but there were too many people to observe. What an incredible group of people, said someone. Lin Feng turned around and saw a group of people in white clothes, with veils covering their faces. The beautiful girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace. Let's go check them out. Maybe we'll enjoy some their desire skills, said someone laughing. Even though not all the girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace practiced the Comet Hatu, the 6 Heavens of Desire and Passion skill, they all had different skills related to desire. Many people knew that they had no chance to sleep with Yi Renlei, but they could still look at her. The girls of the Heavens of Desire's palace landed on one of the 36 mountains, leading a group of fanboys behind them. Lin Feng also landed on their mountain and looked for Yi Renlei. She's not here. Maybe she hasn't come back from the shrine, or that something else has happened to her, thought Lin Feng. As long as Yi Renlei was in the shrine, he wouldn't worry about her. Once she left the shrine, many things could happen to her, including either the Ice Emperor or the Snow Leader. Since Yi Ren decided to go there, she must have decided it would be safe, thought Lin Feng, trying to cheer himself up. Yi Renlei was a smart girl, so she knew what she was doing. Hello, beautiful and celestial girls, said someone. He then landed in front of the girls. The girls were not happy to see him, so he must be from the Church of Desire. Zhong Renyu, thought Lin Feng. He had already broken through to the 3rd Zunqi layer. It seems like he hadn't wasted any time after Fortune City, especially before the meeting of the emperors. Lin Feng hadn't wasted any time either. When he first arrived in Fortune City, he had only broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer, and nobody knew him. Some people started to notice him when he fought against Shui Baiyao, but back then, the 10 strongest young cultivators of Ba Huang had all broken through to the 8th or 9th Tianqi layer. Now Lin Feng had already reached the top of the 2nd Zunqi layer, and Lin Feng was becoming stronger every day. The girls looked at the guys of the Church of Desire, but ignored them. Where's Yilang Run? I miss her. Does she have a boyfriend now? Asked Zhong Renyu smiling. Yi Ren is not interested in you, said a girl smiling indifferently. Well, I don't think so, said Zhong Renyu smiling evilly. Of course. I'd also love to have sex with any one of you if you're interested. Piss off, said that girl. She was obviously agitated. Brothers, so many holy girls are here. You should each choose a girl, said Zhong Renyu, making his friends laugh. A bunch of pigs, said someone loudly. The members of the Church of Desire turned around and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng wasn't even facing them. Who are you talking about? Asked Zhong Renyu sharply. Lin Feng turned around and looked at Zhong Renyu. About you, can't you understand? Zhong Renyu smiled evilly and released a dark qi while running towards Lin Feng. Mu Feng, why are you fighting Brother Zhong? Said someone. It was Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu. Zhong Renyu looked surprised and said, Xiaoyu, that guy is acting too rude. I'll kill him, said Lin Feng. Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng and guessed that Mu Feng liked to offend people. Zhong Renyu was surprised. Kill him? How insane. He's from the Church of Desire, so he's not weak. Killing him isn't a good idea, said Xiaoyu to Lin Feng using telepathy, but Lin Feng seemingly hadn't heard him, as he continued running towards Zhong Renyu. Look at my eyes, said Zhong Renyu smiling evilly. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Zhong Renyu, who was releasing abstruse energies from his eyes. You must want to die, said Lin Feng, smiling in a cold way. Surprisingly, someone took the initiative to make him look at their eyes. How could Lin Feng refuse such a challenge? Boom! Terrifying demonic energies penetrated into Zhong Renyu's eyes, making him gasp in pain. Die! Said Lin Feng with a deep, demonic voice. Zhong Renyu could barely move as his vitality was being drained. Oh no! Thought the other members from the Church of Desire. You're already dead, said Lin Feng in that same demonic voice. Wake up! Shouted the strong cultivators from the Church of Desire, moving towards Zhong Renyu. No! Shouted Zhong Renyu furiously. However, a pitch-black hand quickly grabbed his neck, stopping everybody in their tracks. Zhong Renyu was considered a genius in the Church of Desire, but he paled in comparison to Mu Feng. Please don't kill me, begged Zhong Renyu. Why was such a strong demon cultivator attacking him? Your Excellency, please think thrice, said the members of the Church of Desire. I only think once when I want to kill people, let alone thrice, said Lin Feng. Then, he condensed demonic fire energies in his other hand, and Zhong Renyu gave a horrible shriek. Die! Lin Feng punched Zhong Renyu's head, and made it explode into 1,000 pieces. The remaining parts of his body turned to ashes. Chapter 1372. Demonic punches. The other members from the Church of Desire remained silent. A demon cultivator of the second Zunqi layer had killed the genius from their group, in front of them, and looked so relaxed while doing it. It's a real demon cultivator, thought the members from the Church of Desire. Even though they were furious, they understood that demon cultivators were that way. The girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace also looked at Lin Feng puzzled. They didn't understand why Lin Feng had killed Zhong Renyu, even though it was a bit unfair. Lin Feng looked expressionless though. He had killed many people in the past, so this wasn't a big deal. Especially seeing how Zhong Renyu had plotted against him a few times before in Fortune City. You must be from Devamara Palace, but I don't know your name? Asked a cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer. I am not from the Devamara Palace. I don't belong to any group. If you want to avenge his death, just attack me right now, said Lin Feng. Bastard! Shouted the cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer. You kill Zhong Renyu, so you should die. Kill him. Die! They shouted, one after the other, furiously releasing qi to oppress Lin Feng. Boom! Lin Feng took a step forwards and released more demonic qi. Death curse, said Lin Feng, glancing at the crowd. The weakest cultivators from the group immediately felt that something strange was going on in their bodies, like their lives were being drained. Die! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. The sound waves emitted by his voice bombarded a few people, knocking them over like dominoes. Lin Feng only had to shout one word, and he could kill 4 Zun cultivators at once. One of them had broken through to the 3rd Zunqi layer even. I could sense death abstruse energies, somebody said. Lin Feng had condensed cursing energies as well as death strength into that shout. There were even other types of energies, which they couldn't determine. He can kill people at the same level as him just by glancing at them. Since when are there such incredible cultivators in Bahuang? Who are you? Asked the crowd. He's a black mage. I've seen him before while I was in Shuiyu. He hadn't broken through to the Zunqi layer back then, but he had fought Sikong Xiao. They both used their vision skills, and Sikong Xiao still lost, said someone. At that moment, the members of the Church of Desire were all releasing an evil qi. But Lin Feng started punching the air in their direction. He was using a demonic king punch which had an explosive strength. Anyone at the 5th Zunqi layer or below couldn't block it. Kaboom! Another body exploded. In a short time, a dozen members from the Church of Desire died. The others didn't want to fight anymore, so they began to get away. Those demonic punches each contained 3 different types of abstruse energies, including Level 5 Demon Abstruse Energies, Level 4 Desolate Abstruse Energies, and Level 3 Death Abstruse Energies. Just who are you? Asked the cultivator of the 6th Zunqi. His heart was pounding. Lin Feng was unstoppable. With the strength of the 2nd Zunqi layer alone, he already possessed Level 5 Demonic Abstruse Energies, among many other types of abstruse energies. If you don't want to die, just fuck off. Besides, the girls of the Heavens of Desire's palace are pure and holy celestial beings. If you pigs dare humiliate them with your disgusting words again, I'll kill you all, said Lin Feng aggressively. The members of the Church of Desire remained silent and left. Where's he run? Asked Lin Feng. She hasn't come back yet, said a girl. She guessed that Lin Feng was a hero who was interested in Yiren Lei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have defended them. What's your name? Do you know her well? Asked the girl in a weak and gentle voice. Her perfume wafted through the wind towards Lin Feng, and she gave Mu Feng a particularly seductive glance. I'm Mu Feng. I obviously already know Yiren, said Lin Feng. That girl wasn't as skilled as Yiren Lei at seducing men. I see. If she comes back, we'll tell her you were looking for her, said the girl, bowing before moving back. She could tell from Lin Feng's indifferent expression that he wasn't interested in her. Mu Feng, brother, No wonder you managed to make it to the 8th floor last time. Even though Zhong Renyu wasn't that strong, he was still a member of the Church of Desire, and you killed him in an instant," said Xiaoyu. "A beast," thought the crowd, speechless after they heard Xiaoyu. This time, the meeting of the emperors would be interesting. "I just killed a few people, that was me being merciful," said Lin Feng indifferently. He even let the others run away. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged. The meeting of the emperors was only a dozen hours away. He knew that even more people would arrive from all the different groups of influence. Even Tiantai still had to show up. Boom boom boom! In the distance, a group of people arrived riding dragons. They looked extraordinary and imposing on their dragons. Tianlong Divine Castle from Western Bahuang, thought the crowd. They landed on one of the 36 peaks. There's a thick celestial qi coming from over there. They must be from the celestial land of alchemists, thought the crowd, pointing at a beautiful bird in the sky. It's Qing Niao, the turquoise-colored bird from the celestial land of alchemists, thought the crowd. Shui Bai Yao has broken through to the second Zunqi layer, and looks even more beautiful than before, thought the crowd. Chapter 1373. Meng Qing and Yuexa and Lin Feng turned around and saw Shui Bai Yao wearing a veil. Her celestial qi was a bit thicker than the last time he saw her. The celestial land of alchemists had done the same as Tianlong Divine Castle and the Heavens of Desire's Palace. They had sent people in advance, and a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer to lead the group. "Xiaoyu," said a member from the celestial land of alchemists. The Devamara Palace was mysterious, but a short time ago, their disciples had started traveling. One of those disciples was Xiaoyu. The celestial girls from Heavens of Desire's Palace have already arrived, and now the celestial girl has arrived too. "I must be dreaming," said Xiaoyu, looking up and down Shui Bai Yao. "Even though I've heard of your beauty, but I've never seen you before. It's about time we see each other, so could I see your face?" "You're joking," said Shui Bai Yao indifferently. "Haha, I'm not joking. I'm an evil demon cultivator, but I still love beautiful girls," said Xiaoyu, walking towards Shui Bai Yao. The celestial land of alchemists members were surprised. The young men looked especially furious. They jumped in front of Shui Bai Yao and looked at Xiaoyu in a cold way. Demons are fearless and unruly. Mu Feng just killed people from the Church of Desire, and now Xiaoyu is trying to force her veil off. In their eyes only strength matters, thought the crowd. Piss off. Xiaoyu continued walking ahead while releasing demonic qi. The faces of the young men from the celestial land of alchemists turned deathly pale. "Try if you dare," shouted a furious voice. Dazzling lights suddenly appeared. "What a poor skill," said Xiaoyu. He continued walking forwards. The ground was breaking under his feet. He raised his fists and demonic energies whistled. Then the young men from the celestial land of alchemists started running away. Without them blocking him, Shui Bai Yao quickly arrived in front of Xiaoyu. Lin Feng turned around. Xiaoyu had been to the 7th floor of the demon shrine and had learnt some things there. He was at least as strong as the 10 strongest young cultivators. Even Shui Bai Yao couldn't resist him. "Brother, forget about it," said Lin Feng. Xiaoyu suddenly stopped releasing demonic qi and smiled at Shui Bai Yao. "Since Mu Feng asked, I won't push this further." Shui Bai Yao felt extremely oppressed and humiliated. She hadn't thought that her life would lay in that guy's hands. She looked at Lin Feng, especially at his pitch-black eyes. She felt like she recognized him, but at the same time she didn't know who that demon cultivator. The remaining cultivators from the celestial land of alchemists recalled their energies. "Mu Feng, you don't want to see her face? Or have you already seen it?" said Xiaoyu, smiling devilishly at Lin Feng. "Brother, I have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex," said Lin Feng, shaking his head indifferently. Then he closed his eyes again. Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng, but he didn't understand him. Who were his teachers? How come he was so outstanding? Besides, his relationship with women was different than most. He even knew Yi Renlei and had protected Shui Bai Yao. Xiaoyu didn't think too much about it though. He too sat down cross-legged next to Lin Feng and cultivated. Gradually, more people arrived from Fire Mountain, the Sunset Pavilion, the Celestial Thunder Temple, the Qifeng Mountain and so on, each of them choosing their own mountain to rest at. Another group of people arrived from the distance. They had less people than the other groups, but two beautiful women attracted a lot of attention. They landed on the mountain where Tianlong Divine Castle's people resided. A moonlight beam descended from the sky and tore into several of the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle. Boom! Tianlong Divine Castle's people immediately released bestial qi in retaliation. Don't kill them. They're just two beautiful widows. Unfortunately, Lin Feng is dead, so he can't have fun with them anymore. Let's capture them alive, shouted a cultivator. Everybody then burst into laughter. Lin Feng opened his eyes and instantly released demonic energies. Mengqing Uxian. Lin Feng looked at them. They had just arrived, but were already attacking members from Tianlong Divine Castle. Uxian and Mengqing are with Tiantai. They must know I'm not dead. But still, they're acting like they don't in front of Tianlong Divine Castle's people. They can't forgive Tianlong Divine Castle for what they've done to me, sighed Lin Feng. Mu Feng, do you also like those two beautiful women? Asked Xiaoyu. If I say I do, will you help me? Asked Lin Feng. Xiaoyu smiled and said, What do I need to do? We'd only need to kill a few people, said Lin Feng, standing up. Xiaoyu smiled wryly. Lin Feng was insane. He had just killed some people from the Church of Desire, and now he wanted to kill people from Tianlong Divine Castle. They both jumped towards Tianlong's people. Some people were surprised and then shook their heads and smiled wryly. Mengqing and Uxian had already killed a few people from Tianlong Divine Castle. Mengqing had broken through to the second Zunqi layer, so her attacks were even more incredible. Qiu Uxian had broken through to the third Zunqi layer, so her mercilessness cultivation was more skilled. She could release merciless moon attacks, which could kill cultivators of the fourth and fifth Zunqi layer. Roar roar! The strong cultivators transformed into half-dragons and released bestial qi. Bzzz. Two silhouettes quickly joined the fight. The strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle shouted furiously, What are you two doing? We came here to kill some people, said Mu Feng, jumping forwards and releasing demonic qi. Then he shouted, Die! That person could only watch as Mu Feng attacked them by surprise. Explosions sounded, and that person's head immediately exploded. Boom! Xiaoyu also killed someone straight away. He laughed in an insane way and said, Mu Feng, let's see who can kill the most. The one who kills the most will get the girls. You're definitely going to lose, said Mu Feng, smiling evilly. He didn't need to compete with Xiaoyu for the girls anyways. But a little competition never hurt. Bastards! Shouted a cultivator of the fifth Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. He turned into a partial dragon and threw himself at Mu Feng. Deadly demon punch! Shouted Lin Feng while punching the air in that cultivator's direction. Sonic booms sounded as it traversed the sky. That attack contained death qi. Rumbling sounds spread in the air as the dragon cultivator's punch exploded, and the demon punch continued moving towards him. As it reached his head, he too exploded. Chapter 1374. Fighting against a cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer. How strong! But just who are they? Tiantai's people didn't even have time to react before those two demonic cultivators started attacking them. Qiu Uxian continued releasing ice-cold moon energies, freezing the earth and sky. However, when Mengqing looked over at Mu Feng and smiled in a resplendent way, she also continued killing people. Did she recognize me? Mu Feng thought. Die! Mu Feng continued releasing terrifying demonic punches. Someone in front of him exploded, and his punch continued moving forwards. The cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle were furious that two low-level Demon Zun cultivators were killing their people. A short time later, more than 10 people were already dead. You too, choose an opponent and kill them, one-on-one, shouted the leader of the group to two cultivators of the 6th Zunqi layer. He was a cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer himself. Roger. One of them threw himself at Xiaoyu and the other one at Mu Feng. Die! A gigantic fist was directed at Mu Feng. Mu Feng raised his hand and punched the air in his direction. Earth Rampart, shouted that person. A myriad of fists flew about, kicking up dust. Mu Feng was quickly surrounded by ramparts attempting to bury him alive. Oomph! Lin Feng punched the space around him, destroying the encroaching attack. Mu Feng then threw himself at the cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer. Roar! A dragon roared furiously. Bestial qi flooded out as dragons threw themselves at Mu Feng. Die! Shouted Mu Feng. This time he released death curse energies. Slash, slash, slash. The dragon illusions were destroyed, one after the other. Lin Feng was surrounded by a layer of death curse qi. The cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer pulled a long face. Their attacks were explosive, easily capable of killing cultivators of the 5th Zun Qi layer in one strike. But Mu Feng easily destroyed his attack. Mu Feng jumped forwards a few dozen meters and landed in front of him. The strong cultivator looked into Lin Feng's eyes, but that was a mistake. Demonic intent began to take him over. Die! Death curse energies surrounded his body, draining his vitality. Soul cursing life drain, said Mu Feng. His voice alone made the opponent's soul shake. He was losing control. Roar! The cultivator shouted furiously. He was a cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer, but surprisingly, a cultivator of the 2nd Zun Qi layer was standing over him. Do you think that you will survive? They finally came back to their senses, but a voice began to echo in his head. It was the voice of a demon, burning his consciousness bit by bit. I don't want to die, shouted that cultivator. Bestial qi rose to the skies, however. Mu Feng jumped and released demonic intent from his eyes. He also threw some demon punches. Roar! The cultivator raised his dragon-like hands and punched the air in Mu Feng's direction. Destroy! Said Mu Feng in a deep voice. His voice carried cursing energies, which also influenced the other cultivator. After their fists collided, the cultivator's dragon gauntlets exploded and death qi penetrated into his flesh. Then explosions sounded as his arm exploded. No! Shouted the cultivator. The demon punches continued moving towards his head, hitting him, and then exploding. Boom, boom, boom! Bestial qi continued assaulting Mu Feng. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer immediately attacked Lin Feng. His punch was very fast, almost impossible to dodge. Roar, roar, roar! Dragons roared. Mu Feng suddenly felt paralyzed, like his soul was shaking. His cultivation level was too low. He could easily be injured by cultivators at that level. The cultivator of the top of the Zun Qi layer continued roaring, invoking Mu Feng's blood strength. Roar! Demonic intent surrounded Mu Feng's body as he turned into a demon god. Kacha! Mu Feng's fist met the dragon's fist in a viscous. Mu Feng felt some of his bones breaking, but he circulated his blood and unceasingly healed his arm. Die! Shouted Mu Feng, striking back. Someone who was attacking him by surprise ended up in front of him, and Mu Feng's fist crashed into him. His body instantly exploded. Mu Feng seemed like he had become taller from a moment ago. In front of him, cultivators of the 4th Zun Qi layer are just insects. He can easily punch them and destroy them. The cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer was fighting Lin Feng, and the 3 others were fighting and crushing others from Tianlong Divine Castle, one after the other. Lin Feng just had to kill the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, and the entire group of people from Tianlong Divine Castle, who arrived first, would be completely destroyed. Since when did Tianlong Divine Castle offend the Devamara Palace? Shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, staring at Mu Feng coldly. Mu Feng groaned coldly and continued running towards him. Then he jumped higher up in the air. The demonic king illusion behind him, which was surrounded by terrifying demonic intent. Death curse, said Mu Feng. Death qi emerged from his eyes and penetrated into the cultivator's body. You must want to die, shouted that cultivator like a madman. Then his body began growing dragon scales all over. Die! A gigantic dragon-like hand moved towards Mu Feng. Mu Feng punched the dragon hand with his demon punch, crushing the dragon claws. However, the enemy quickly arrived in front of him, joined his hands, and released strident dragon qi. Mu Feng's Demon King illusion started shaking under that pressure. Even though he had the talent of a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, facing a real cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer was still difficult. I'll kill you, said Mu Feng. His eyes were pitch black, and his Demon King's intent penetrated into the enemy's eyes. "Deadly Demon Punch!" shouted Lin Feng, punching the air in front of him with both of his fists. A terrifying strength emerged from the dragon hands to block the attack, but immortal! The face of the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer turned deathly pale. He had sensed a destructive strength, which entered his arms and started decaying them. That was immortal strength, preventing the destructive energies in his arms from being destroyed. Boom! Demonic intent was now flooding from Mu Feng. Mi Feng jumped forwards and shouted furiously. Dragons roared as his dragon-like arms attacked again. "Can you kill me?" shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. He didn't try to dodge Mu Feng's attack. Instead, he used his two arms to block Lin Feng's attack. Chapter 1375. Lots of concubines. Mu Feng was surprised to see the enemy going for a frontal collision. "Die!" shouted the strong cultivator. Boom! The arms of the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer of Tianlong Divine Castle reached Mu Feng. His claws were as sharp as blades and pierced through Lin Feng's skin, but his skin was thick. The demon illusion shouted furiously and broke apart. But at the same time, Mu Feng's fists also crashed onto that person's body. Mu Feng was propelled backwards, coughing out blood. His clothes were now soaked with blood. "That demon boy is extremely strong, but still he lost," thought the crowd. No. The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer gave a horrible shriek. He was groaning in pain before his body suddenly exploded. Then it started raining blood, flesh and organs. "He's dead." The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle is dead. He was killed by a cultivator of the second Zunqi layer. By that time, Xiao Yu and the two stunning women had already killed all the other cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle. Mu Feng, the young man who had killed the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, didn't even look excited. The Zun cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle weren't pushovers, but Mu Feng had still destroyed them. "Haha, I killed more people than you," said Xiao Yu, smiling happily. While Mu Feng was killing the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, Xiao Yu had killed many strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle. "So what? Beautiful women still prefer me," said Mu Feng. He walked towards Qiu Yu Xian, but she frowned and said, "Piss off. You have such a bad temper," said Mu Feng, laughing. "Cold moon!" shouted Qiu Yu Xian furiously. Boom! Lin Feng punched her and destroyed her cold moon attack. Then, demonic qi destroyed her mercilessness energies. Meng Qing looked at him and smiled thinly. She didn't try to block Mu Feng, because he was just having fun. "Die!" shouted Yu Xian. This time, a terrifying sword moved towards Lin Feng. "Destroy!" Lin Feng released demonic qi and destroyed the energies around him. Mu Feng was getting closer and closer to Mu Feng. Qiu Yu Xian's face paled. "You're so beautiful, so why be merciless?" said Mu Feng, smiling and walking towards Qiu Yu Xian. He got near her, then he opened his arms, wanting to hug her. "That demon cultivator is a pervert. No wonder he's so nice to the girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace. He even asked about Yi Run Lei, and then defended Shui Bai Yao." Thought the crowd speechless. The crowd couldn't help but think of Lin Feng who had died. Qiu Yu Xian was Lin Feng's girlfriend. So if he had been there, how strong would he have become? And how would he have faced this demon cultivator? Tiantai's people looked at him coldly and ran towards Mu Feng. Qiu Yu Xian still wanted to fight back, but Lin Feng shouted, "Stop!" Qiu Yu Xian shook violently. Then he put his arms around her. She turned deathly pale and mercilessness energies dashed to the skies. "Die! You silly girl, you don't listen very well," said Mu Feng using telepathy. Qiu Yu Xian suddenly stopped. How could she forget that voice? Mu Feng continued talking to Qiu Yu Xian using telepathy. "Don't practice mercilessness cultivation anymore. Here is a book, take it and study it." Lin Feng gave a ring to Qiu Yu Xian. Then he moved backwards and smiled. "Beautiful women smell so good. I love it when my clothes smell like them." Lin Feng then smiled at Meng Qing and left. "Brother Mu Feng is amazing," said Xiao Yu, laughing loudly. Then he followed Mu Feng. Tiantai's people were still looking at him coldly. Even though he had killed people from Tianlong Divine Castle, he was too arrogant. But they didn't know how Qiu Xian felt though. "Let's go," said Meng Qing to Qiu Xian, grabbing her hand and smiling. Qiu Xian looked at Meng Qing's hand, smiled and said to her using telepathy, "Meng Qing's sister, did you know it was him?" "Yes, he has my qi in his body," said Meng Qing. She was relieved and happy that Lin Feng had come back. Lin Feng had become so strong, he could even kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. Many people sighed as the beautiful girls left. They even felt sad for Lin Feng who had died. He had such beautiful women who even after his death, stayed together all the time. Tiantai's people gradually left. Qifeng Mountain Fengxian is there. Another one of the four most beautiful women in Bahuang. Now only Yirun Lei isn't here, thought the crowd. How many people like Mu Feng were there though? Was there anyone of the second Zunqi layer who could kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer? Later that evening, Mu Feng was inside a cave, sitting cross-legged, and thinking about the things he could improve, especially his abstruse energy fusions. If he understood them better, then he'd become even stronger before the meeting of the emperors. He heard some subtle sounds, so he opened his eyes and saw two beautiful women. He couldn't help but smile gently. His demonic energies vanished without trace. Those two extraordinarily beautiful women were Meng Qing and Yu Xian. He took off his mask and smiled at them. Then he hugged them both. Meng Qing and Qiu Xian rested their heads on his shoulders. "You've gotten naughtier," said Meng Qing tapping Lin Feng's bottom. "I'm happy to have such beautiful women in my arms," said Lin Feng, turning his head to Meng Qing. He then immediately kissed her lips. "So sweet," said Lin Feng smiling. Meng Qing's face turned red. "I'll kiss you too, Lin Feng." Qiu Xian turned her head, but Lin Feng grabbed her neck and pulled her in for a passionate kiss. Then she shivered from head to foot. She felt so happy and strange at the same time. She never had sex with Lin Feng, unlike Meng Qing, so kissing was still the most intimate thing Lin Feng had ever done to her. "How insolent," said Meng Qing glancing at him. Her face turned red, but then she laughed. Ever since Lin Feng had had sex with Yirun, he had become even more interested in sex. Chapter 1376. Gathering Meng Qing. "How did you recognize me and how did you find me here?" asked Lin Feng. "How could you forget that you have my holy celestial qi in your body?" said Meng Qing shyly. Her face was completely red. Lin Feng had obtained Ling Long's holy celestial qi by making love with her. "I see." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Don't you want to give me some more of Ling Long's holy celestial qi?" Even though Lin Feng was laughing, Meng Qing turned scarlet red. She didn't look like a cold woman anymore. She looked like a gentle and docile wife. "What are you talking about?" asked Qiu Xian. Lin Feng and Meng Qing glanced at each other, and Lin Feng laughed while Meng Qing smiled and lowered her head. "We were wondering when we could give you some of Ling Long's holy celestial qi, so that we would never lose track of each other," said Lin Feng smiling. "How do you do it? And should we do it now?" asked Qiu Xian. If she had been like Meng Qing, she would have recognized that Lin Feng was joking. And now, Lin Feng's face became rigid. It wasn't very convenient. "Yu Xian, don't listen to him," said Meng Qing, rolling her eyes. Then, she walked to Qiu Xian and whispered something in her ears. Qiu Xian's face turned completely red as she looked at Lin Feng and said, "Try and dare." Let's try," said Lin Feng. Back then, Lin Feng always let Qiu Xian win. But now things were different, she couldn't resist. "Seal!" shouted Lin Feng, just like the past. Qiu Xian suddenly remembered some beautiful memories. But she was quickly interrupted by Lin Feng, whose hands were moving towards her head. Then he put his lips on her lips and passionately made out with her. Finally, Lin Feng opened his mouth, allowing Qiu Xian to breathe again. She looked at Lin Feng angrily, even stomping on his foot. "The conditions are not great, but I can still give it to you right here," said Lin Feng, aggressively and fearlessly. Qiu Xian didn't dare look at him. She kept blushing and turning her head. "Meng Qing, let's leave him alone," said Qiu Xian to Meng Qing. Meng Qing smiled in a gentle way and said to Lin Feng, We're off, otherwise some people could find out who you are. The Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle will never let you off, so be careful. Don't worry, you be careful too. I also need someone to give birth to my baby, said Lin Feng smiling. The girls couldn't stand his remarks anymore, so they ran away. Lin Feng turned back into a demon cultivator again, his smile disappearing, his eyes turning pitch black. He looked aggressive, and he was again surrounded by ice-cold demonic intent. Mu Feng's qi was different from Lin Feng's, but only Meng Qing could recognize the similarities. He sat down cross-legged and continued practicing cultivation. Demonic intent continued flowing throughout the cave. Lin Feng had 2 demon generals' illusions, and an insane demon behind him. Studying immortal energies, even a little bit, made him a lot stronger. Time passed, and the 36 mountains were finally filled to the brim with people. The sun rose up in the east, calm and peacefully. The crowd knew that it was just the calmness before the storm though. A few hours later, the meeting of the emperors would start, an event which took place only every 100 years. All the emperors are going to arrive soon, thought the crowd. Emperors rarely showed up, but at the meeting of the emperors, all of them would gather together. Roar! A loud roaring sound made the earth and sky shake from the distance. Terrifying dragons arrived and dragon qi filled the sky. The first people to arrive were those from Tianlong Divine Castle. Emperor Tianlong, thought the crowd. He was the first emperor to arrive. But how would he react when he saw that all the members from Tianlong Divine Castle had been killed already? As Tianlong Divine Castle's people arrived, they didn't see their friends who should have arrived before, so they couldn't help but release bestial qi. Kacha! They had a dragon carriage which suddenly exploded. An aggressive-looking person appeared wearing a majestic sanguinary-looking dragon armor. Speak, said Emperor Tianlong looking at the crowd in an aggressive way. People shook and some said, "We heard that strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle were killed by 2 girls and 2 demon cultivators." Arg! Emperor Tianlong was furious. He immediately killed the person who talked. The crowd was furious. They didn't say it loudly, but on the inside, they were insulting him. He actually considered everybody and everything beneath his notice. "Let's go," said Emperor Tianlong. Those from Tianlong Divine Castle who had died couldn't have him involving himself. Otherwise, he would lose face. Tianlong Divine Castle's people landed on a mountain, forcing the crowd away. Soon, the members of the Celestial Land of Alchemists also landed on a mountain. From the south, a hot qi invaded a mountain as people from Fire Mountain arrived, and Emperor Yin landed. After that, people from Qifeng Mountain, the Sunset Pavilion, the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit, the Island of the Thunderbirds and Mangyo Mountain also all arrived. Caw! A loud bird cawed. Golden lights filled the skies as a gigantic bird appeared from the distance. It was dozens of meters long, and when it opened its wings, it was hundreds of meters wide. That was Emperor Peng. Then, from the celestial part of Bahuang, Fairyland of the 9 Songs, Celestial Thunder Temple, the Heavens of Desire's Palace, and the Church of Desire's people arrived. The leader of the Fairyland of the 9 Songs was a woman who had 9 tails and looked like a fox. The leader from the Heavens of Desire's Palace was also an astonishingly stunning woman. The leader from the Celestial Thunder Temple was a golden Buddha, who possessed a magnificent golden aura. The leader from the Church of Desire was an evil-looking young man. Then people from the sanguinary part of Bahuang arrived, the Devamara Palace and the Abyss of Sufferings. The leader of the Abyss of Sufferings was an assassin who looked illusory. The leader of the Devamara Palace was a terrifying demon. Then, the people from Tiantai arrived, but only Emperor Yu showed up. After that, people from the central Bahuang arrived, the Magic World Heavenly Palace, and the Xiao Yao sect arrived together. The Wen clan arrived alone. Finally, the Sikong clan arrived, leaving only the Qi clan to arrive. There were 20 influential imperial groups, who all had an emperor as their leader. The meeting of the emperors was finally going to start. Chapter 1377. The meeting of the emperors. The Qi clan is in charge of the meeting of the emperors this year, and yet, they still haven't arrived yet. Concerning the Emperor of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals, we don't know if he's still sick, or if he died yet, thought the crowd. The Celestial Palace of the Immortals. In the distance more people appeared. The Celestial Palace of the Immortals wasn't far from the eastern part of Bahuang, so they could easily fly over. The leader was a young man. The old emperor hasn't come. Junemo she had replaced the old man as the leader, and brought many of the strong cultivators from the Celestial Palace of the Immortals with him. There's a problem, thought the crowd. They saw some people behind Junemo Shi. They were also from the Celestial Palace of the Immortals, but there seemed to be a problem, as if there was a certain distance between them. It was as if internal tensions had started in the Celestial Palace of the Immortals, and that some people didn't want to follow Junemo Shi. After all, he was very young, and had only broken through to the 4th Zunqi layer. Maybe in 10 years or so, Junemo Shi would have reached the very top of the Zunqi layer. Then he could have controlled those people, but the old emperor wouldn't survive that long. They also landed on a mountain, leaving only the Qi clan. Bzzz. A terrifyingly hot energy came from the distance. The crowd turned around, and saw flames in the east sky. There was a gigantic bird bathing in flames. Behind that bird was a gigantic sun, which was emitting scorching flames. The crowd was stupefied. A supernatural bird. The golden crow with 3 feet? It's not the golden crow with 3 feet, it's a golden sun crow. That bird is related to the 3-legged golden crow, but they're both very strong, said someone who had some advanced knowledge. It was also a golden crow, but it was even stronger than the 3-legged golden crow. The Qi clan arrived. Some people shivered. The Qi clan was in charge of the meeting this time, and they came leading with the golden sun crow. The crow landed on a mountain, and a silhouette jumped off it. That was Emperor Qi. Everybody has arrived, said Emperor Qi. What about the emperor from the Celestial Palace of the Immortals? Asked Emperor Qi. Junemo Shi raised his head and replied, he's not feeling well, so he couldn't come. Please don't blame him. His health is more important, replied Emperor Qi, smiling in a gentle way as if he really cared about the emperor of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. Thank you very much, Emperor Qi, replied Junemo Shi politely and smiling. He didn't like him, for he knew that if the emperor of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals died, the Qi clan would be the first to raid him. Emperor Qi slowly turned around and smiled at the crowd. Brothers, the meeting of the emperors only takes place every 100 years. This time, how should we determine the rules? Since you organized the meeting this era, you should choose the rules, said Emperor Sikong, smiling indifferently. Of course, don't forget to be fair, said Emperor Wen. Everybody knew that the Qi clan and the Sikong clan had joined hands to fight the Wen clan not that long ago. Of course, I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. Then if you agree, we can proceed. If you don't, we can change the rules still, said Emperor Qi, smiling. All the emperors listened calmly. In this valley, there are already 30 battle stages laid out. We could organize battles, and those who can win 100 battles continuously will qualify for the next round. What do you think? Said Emperor Qi. What about the specifics? Asked Emperor Tianlong. Disciples can fight on 22 of the battle stages, 1 battle stage per influential imperial group. They can only fight people who challenge them. If they win 100 battles, they are qualified. If they lose, they are eliminated, and the one who wins can continue. If the one who challenges wins, they steal the challenger's winning streak, and then they can fight others who are issuing challenges. On the 8 other battle stages, people who are confident or want to challenge others can use them. Of course, amongst them, we need 3 battle stages for cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer to battle, explained Emperor Qi. Amongst the 30 battle stages, each influential imperial group can have a battle stage. Those who are not from an influential imperial group could then decide to challenge anyone from those battle stages. After winning, they could continue challenging people, or give up and go to some other battle stages. The goal was to win 100 times in a row. The advantage was that someone who fought against someone who had a 99-win streak could steal their victory streak. Of course, those who weren't strong enough would probably find it difficult to defeat someone who had a 99-win streak. Apart from the battle stages used by the influential imperial groups, there were also 3 battle stages, on which only cultivators of the top of the Zunqi layer could fight. Of course, those who were confident enough could also challenge cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. People who didn't belong to any influential imperial group could even use the 5 remaining battle stages. Those rules are fair because anyone can challenge disciples from influential imperial groups. However, for newly created groups such as Tiantai, it will be tougher. After all, they had fewer disciples than the other influential imperial groups, but they have some incredible disciples who will probably qualify, thought the crowd. Besides, those who would pass the first round would be real heroes. Mr. Qi, what will be the prize for the winners be? Asked someone. The goal of the meeting of the emperors is never unveiled to outsiders. If you win, you'll know. That's just a tradition. Everybody has the opportunity to join in, without limits. But we won't tell you what the purpose is. Joining in or not is your decision, said Emperor Qi in a calm and serene way. It must be an incredible treasure since they aren't talking about it. Otherwise, why would all the emperors gather together like this? There must be something great in the end, thought the crowd. An event that occurred every 100 years, involving all the emperors from Bahuang. Just a hint though, if you rank amongst the best, you will obtain an incredible prize. A prize you cannot even begin to imagine. You will discover things which very few people know about. However, you may face some danger after obtaining that knowledge, said Emperor Qi. Since the emperors have brought all their best disciples, our goal is also to rank the best ones. Chapter 1378. Let the massacre begin. What do you think, brothers? Asked Emperor Qi to the other emperors. He was convinced that all the emperors would be satisfied and would find the rules fair. Even though he had some hidden intentions, he couldn't take any risks sounding fishy. I agree the rules are fair, said Emperor Sikong. I have no objections. I agree, said all the emperors nodding. Even Emperor Yu nodded. Even though those rules weren't advantageous for Tiantai, whether he agreed or not wouldn't change much. Even though Emperor Qi had said that disciples from influential imperial groups could only be challenged, there could be disguised people from such groups, already hiding in the huge crowd. Emperor Yu was convinced that if he could figure that out, then other people could as well. The rules have been determined, thought the crowd. They were excited. Since everybody agreed, I'd like Emperor Nyo to give me a hand in preparing the battle stages, said Emperor Qi. All right, said Emperor Nyo nodding. He jumped towards the central part of the valley. Then he shouted, Everybody, let's start. Immediately after, a myriad of silhouettes started flickering about. Roar! Emperor Nyo turned into a gigantic ox which fell from the sky. Cracks appeared in the valley, separating the different battle stages. Rise! Shouted Emperor Nyo. Rumbling sounds appeared as gigantic battle stages rose. Gravity territory! Shouted Emperor Nyo, extremely loudly. Then, the battle stages seemed even more solid and stable than the mountains around them. All right, said Emperor Nyo, nodding at Emperor Qi. He jumped back to his mountain, almost reducing it to pieces as he landed. Thank you, said Emperor Qi to Emperor Nyo, nodding. He looked at the crowd and said, 30 battle stages, and the 3 battle stages in the north are for cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. The 5 battle stages in the south are for those who don't belong to an influential imperial group. The 22 battle stages in the middle are for the influential imperial groups. Everybody nodded. All right, and then each influential imperial group can choose a disciple to represent them. I will send 30 people to guard the 30 battle stages and monitor them, making sure that nobody violates the rules, said Emperor Qi. 30 strong cultivators moved to different battle stages, remaining above them in the air. They were going to count the fighters' victories, and so on as to avoid chaotic situations. After that, Emperor Qi wouldn't need to do anything else. Everything was well organized after all. There were hundreds of thousands of people, so it might take a while to play out. Boom! At the top of the Qi Tian Peak, a silhouette jumped on the battle stage of the Qi clan. It was the first challenger of the Qi clan. He was wearing a robe and possessed extraordinary qi. He had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer. One more step, and he'd reach the top of the Zunqi layer. It was going to be difficult for anyone to defeat him. "Who wants to fight?" shouted an extremely loud voice. A great oriental greenfinch roc rose up in the air, acting as the first challenger on their side. Celestial Palace of the Immortals, Jun Mo Shi. The crowd looked at the battle stage of the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. The Qi clan was the organizer of the event that year, so they couldn't afford to lose. On the side of the Bestial Imperial Palace, they chose Mo Peng. They had failed too much recently, so Mo Peng had to win. "I'm not going to those 3 battle stages," thought some people. Many who didn't belong to an influential imperial group wanted to seize an opportunity and gain 100 victories. But the challengers on those 3 battle stages were too strong. Not all the stages had strong cultivators. For example, the first challenger on the side of Tiantai was a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer, of whom few had seen before. He was smiling thinly, he looked ordinary, and his clothes were extremely clean. He was probably a cultivator who had joined Tiantai during the second part of the recruitment process. Immediately, someone jumped on Tiantai's battle stage wanting to fight. It was a cultivator of the 5th Zunqi layer, who thought he'd win immediately. However, he lost. He couldn't stand a single punch even. "Who's that person?" thought the crowd. The number 1 appeared on his battle stage, representing his number of victories. Emperor Yu and Emperor Shi's direct disciple, Mo Qing Tian. "Who else did you think?" said someone. At the same time, on the other 30 battle stages, many people had already started fighting. Many emperors had their eyes closed, sitting cross-legged in the air, as if they didn't care about the results. It had just started, so it was still too early to see anything interesting. Somewhere amongst the crowd, Mu Feng was smiling coldly. He was very happy about the rules. Boom boom! On Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage, there was a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer, who looked particularly ferocious. At the meeting of the emperors, cultivators couldn't use holy weapons, otherwise, influential imperial groups would have an overwhelming advantage. There was another rule, that no one older than 200 years old could participate. They had to be young, not because of strength, but because if they were older than 200 years, they could have participated at the previous meeting of the emperors. The cultivator on Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage was using a special spell to create a dragon-like armor. Wang Feng has broken through to the 4th Zunqi layer, but he can easily defeat people of the 5th Zunqi layer. Even regular cultivators of the 6th Zunqi layer are not his match. If people who don't belong to an influential imperial group want to fight him, they at least need the strength at the top of the 6th Zunqi layer. Even if he doesn't win 100 battles, he'll probably win a few dozen. Yes, at least 30 battles. Only then will the stronger cultivators show up, said the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle, smiling happily. However, a cultivator at the top of the 2nd Zunqi layer jumped on their stage. "It's a demon cultivator, he must want to die. Our fellow disciple, win the first battle easily," they thought, laughing happily. Rumbling sounds quickly appeared, and suddenly, their smiles were wiped away. Wang Feng, whom they had just been talking about in a positive way, was directly punched in the chest. Then his head and organs exploded, immediately killing him. Chapter 1380. Cheating Lin Feng raised his head to look at the Qi Tian Peak with his pitch-black eyes. Back then, when Lin Feng had been banished, the Qi clan had taken great efforts, even greater than Tianlong. Initially, it was a battle between Tianlong Divine Castle and Tiantai, but the Qi clan got involved at the end. "I, Emperor Qi, can guarantee that such a thing won't happen again. The referees have to remain neutral, so I'll kill any referees who violate that rule," said Emperor Qi calmly, impressing everybody else. "You're very wise, mister," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng then moved away and continued looking for other battles. He looked like a predator stalking his prey. "If I only attack people from Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan, I will draw people's attention. Besides, the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle already notice me, since I already killed 2 of their better competitors," thought Lin Feng. He then looked at the stage of the Church of Desire and smiled coldly. That was a good idea. Lin Feng didn't attack immediately though. He waited for them to change the fighter first. Then, he joined in and killed a cultivator from the Church of Desire in one strike again. That guy is an expert at killing, but he doesn't have that many victories. Some people were starting to notice Lin Feng. Quickly enough, Lin Feng obtained a 4th victory against a cultivator from the Sunset Pavilion. Alright, that cultivator is extremely strong and he has a strong personality, but apart from that, there's no need to follow him closely, thought some people, after they saw him kill a cultivator from the Abyss of Sufferings. After some time, another cultivator obtained his 100th victory. Jun Mo, she from the Celestial Palace of the Immortals. Then Mo Qing Tian from Tiantai, and then some other people. Time passed slowly, and on the 22 battle stages of the influential imperial groups, more and more people appeared, apart from Tianlong Divine Castle. At the same time, some people found out something strange was going on. Some extremely strong people were in the crowd, but weren't trying to get 100 victories. They were just trying to find some prey and kill them. There were more than just Lin Feng, but he hadn't fought for a while, so most people had already forgotten about him. On the peak where the members from Tianlong Divine Castle were, Emperor Tianlong slowly opened his eyes and said coldly, "We still don't have a cultivator who's achieved 100 victories." The members from Tianlong felt awkward as someone said, "Teacher, next round, I'll make Long Yao fight. He will have no problem achieving 100 victories." "Alright, I'm waiting then," said Emperor Tianlong, before he closed his eyes again. That cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer went to find Long Yao and called him over. The next their people lost, Long Yao went to the stage. Dragons roared as Dragon Qi dashed to the skies. "Teacher, Long Yao has broken through to the 5th Zunqi layer, and his dual abstruse energies are at the top of the 6th level. He also possesses incredible dragon techniques, which can even defeat cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. He'll definitely get 100 victories," said that cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer to Emperor Tianlong. He was already 800 years old, so he couldn't participate, but he was afraid of Emperor Tianlong's temper. Emperor Tianlong's eyes were still closed, and he didn't say anything. At that moment, the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, from Tianlong Divine Castle, gazed into the distance, and saw a person walking towards their battle stage. It was a demon cultivator. "Kill him," said the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, to Long Yao using telepathy. Long Yao nodded and ran towards Lin Feng. Roar! Dragons roared as Long Yao's body created its own dragon armor. Then, he released his level 6 abstruse energies and punched the air in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng continued running forwards, raising his fist, and condensing demon, death and desolate abstruse energies in one. Their fists collided and Lin Feng sensed his whole arm shake. Long Yao had broken through to the top of the 5th Zunqi layer, and his abstruse energies were level 6. Lin Feng couldn't underestimate him. "Can you compete with me?" asked Long Yao coldly. He then raised his other arm and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Lin Feng remained silent and released more demonic qi. Then, he punched the air in Long Yao's direction again with his other fist. Their fists collided again, and energies exploded in every direction. Lin Feng's eyes became darker, filled with demonic intent. "Death curse. Now you're going to die." Death qi was floating around them, while Lin Feng released vitality energy in his arms to heal them. "You've been cursed. You only have 3 seconds to live," said Lin Feng, his voice resonating in the enemy's brain. No, I won't," whispered that person. Then he roared furiously, and at the same time, Lin Feng raised his demonic fist and punched the air in the direction of Long Yao's head. Explosions sounded as his skull crackled and exploded. He had broken through to the 5th Zunqi layer and could defeat cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. But the difference was still obvious. Long Yao is dead? The members from Tianlong Divine Castle were shaking. They were furious that Lin Feng had killed another strong cultivator of theirs. How dare he act that arrogant? He was so weak, said Lin Feng. Tianlong Divine Castle's people were furious. Why did he offend them? Why had he fought against Long Yao? Damn demon cultivator! Lin Feng was expressionless. After killing Long Yao, he left the stage and moved towards the Qi clan's battle stage, but he didn't get on it. Someone was already fighting against a member of the Qi clan. He was surprised to see a cultivator, who was the partner of the one he had fought from Tiantai. He was a cultivator of the 5th Zunqi layer, who already had 97 victories, and the cultivator from Qi clan had 4. It meant that no matter who the winner was, one of them would be qualified. Lin Feng was astonished by the end results. The one who had fought against the member from the Qi clan lost, and gave all his victories to the guy from the Qi clan. With his strength, he shouldn't have lost, which meant he had purposefully offered his victories. They're cheating, thought some people. That cultivator of the 5th Zunqi layer was a victory hunter from the Qi clan. Is it because of me? Thought Lin Feng. Had he given away his victories because he was afraid Lin Feng would get on the stage? After all, he was kind of a spy too. Chapter 1381. Humiliation. He attacked people from Tiantai, so he's probably from the Qi clan, thought Lin Feng. He had been observing the battles on the different battle stages for some time already. He had noticed many people who probably belonged to influential imperial groups who were hiding. Since it's that way, I'll do the same, thought Lin Feng. His silhouette flickered, and he landed on the battle stage of the Qi clan. Your Excellency, I saw you before, and now you came back on the stage. It seems like you wanted to offer your victory points, said Lin Feng. Everybody knew that there were such people, but they weren't going to say it. Now Lin Feng said it openly, a humiliation for the Qi clan. A victory is a victory. A defeat is a defeat. Why do you talk about offering victory points? Besides, there is no rule which indicates that you can't get back on a battle stage even if you lose. Even if I had 100 victories or 100 defeats, so what? As long as I don't die, I can get victories and defeats, replied that person. I don't mind offering other people points then. I didn't know we could do that, said Lin Feng while smiling thinly. Everybody heard Lin Feng say that. That's your problem, but it seems like you're on the wrong battle stage now. Do you want to receive open challenges as well now? Asked that cultivator. I'm not on the wrong stage, because from now on, no matter which fighter from the Qi clan stands on this stage, I'll eliminate them directly and offer their victory points to other people, said Lin Feng mockingly. What a bastard! Are you trying to provoke the Qi clan? Said that cultivator coldly. He was trying to warn the Qi clan that they needed a strong cultivator to kill Lin Feng. Behind the golden sun crow, Qi Qianren jumped off the carriage and said, I'll kill him. We don't need you to go. Let Qi Hai go, said a strong cultivator. Lin Feng recognized that cultivator. Qi Qianxing was Qi Qianren's brother. If Qi Hai goes, he'll die, said Qi Qianren calmly. Qi Qianxing frowned and said, Why do you say that? I've seen him before on the 7th floor of the shrine, said Qi Qianren. Since Qi Qianren had come back from the shrines, he knew what it meant when someone made it to the 7th floor. They were strong enough to kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. If Qi Hai went and fought against that guy, he would die without a doubt. Emperor Qi opened his eyes after he heard Qi Qianren. Only incredibly strong cultivators could make it to the 7th floor of the shrines, but that cultivator of the 2nd Zunqi layer had been there. I'll go and kill him, said Qi Tiansu. Since he's been to the 7th floor of a shrine, you'll die too, said Qi Qianxing. Qi Tiansu looked upset. Even his fellow disciples were talking to him in a disdainful way now. In the continent, there were many incredible geniuses. Some of them were grand talents who matured slowly, while many of them also fell. Qi Tiansu belonged to the second type of people. He had received a lot from his clan, and because of his arrogance and lack of determination, he kept falling. Even though Qi Tiansu could be considered a genius when facing ordinary cultivators, while facing really strong cultivators, he wasn't that strong. Back in the days, he used to be one of the 10 strongest young cultivators along with Ho Qing Lin, and was able to defeat ordinary cultivators of the 8th Zunqi layer. Father, we should investigate that guy, whispered Qi Qianxing to Emperor Qi. If people from other influential imperial groups had heard him, they'd be surprised. Only their elders knew that Qi Qianxing was Emperor Qi's biological son. Of course, Emperor Qi didn't have only one child, he had many sons. There was a huge difference between the ages of all his sons. For example, Qi Tiansu was Emperor Qi's oldest son. Then he had Qi Qianxing later, and Qi Qianren was Emperor Qi's youngest son. We'll see. First, let a cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer kill him. If we hurt him badly enough, he'll be forced to leave, said Emperor Qi calmly. All right, Qi Qianxing nodded. He went behind the sun carriage, and after a few minutes, Qi Qianxing came back with a cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer, who quickly landed on the stage. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the cultivator. Boom! Lin Feng jumped forwards and rose up in the air. He looked terrifying as he shouted, Die! Death curse energies filled the stage, and that cultivator's skin suddenly became gray, as if he were losing his vitality. Die! Lin Feng then attacked with a deadly demon punch. Kacha! The stage shook as demonic energies dashed to the skies. Their two fists collided and crackling sounds came from the stage. Die, 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 shouted Lin Feng. He suddenly released more demon curse energies and continuously assaulted his opponent's head. The face of the cultivator from the Qi clan changed drastically. His face became deathly pale as he tried to avoid Lin Feng's attacks. But Lin Feng used another deadly demon punch. An explosion sounded as that cultivator's body was blown to pieces. After that, immortal Qi pierced through his corpse and made the leftover body parts explode as well. The crowd shivered. The cultivator from the Qi clan, who had cheated, was still there and staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had obtained one more victory. However, this time, Lin Feng didn't leave. Do you want to stay on this stage and accept open challenges? Asked the referee. Even though he was furious on the inside, he looked calm and serene on the outside. If he didn't appear neutral, Emperor Qi would slaughter him. Surprisingly, he doesn't piss off, thought the members from the Qi clan, standing up on the Qi Tian peak. I'll go and kill him, said Qi Qianren. Even if Lin Feng had been to the 7th floor of a shrine, he still wanted to kill him. Wait, said Qi Qianxing, shaking his hand. First, let's listen to what he has to say. Lin Feng looked at the referee, smiled coldly and shook his head. I don't want to receive open challenges. I'm just waiting for the next one who will receive open challenges. No matter which member it is from the Qi clan, I'll fight him and kill him. I'm remaining here because I don't want anyone to challenge them before me, explained Lin Feng. How insane! That guy is both arrogant and insane. He doesn't respect the Qi clan at all, thought many people. I'm coming, said the one who had cheated. But then he saw Lin Feng was looking at him mockingly. I said no matter which member of the Qi clan, and now you're so upset that you said you'd come. Doesn't that mean you're a member of the Qi clan? Explained Lin Feng. Haha, the Qi clan cheated even though they organized this event, thought the crowd. Many people started laughing mockingly. The Qi clan determined the rules and organized the event, but they had planned out how to cheat. How ridiculous, said some people mockingly. Chapter 1382. Insane Demon Lin Feng. We must kill that person, no matter who he is, said Qi Qianren, standing at the top of Qi Tian Peak. Keep calm, said Emperor Qi indifferently. He looked over at Qi Qianren and said, Qianren, cultivators must remain calm and control themselves. Even if you're furious, you can't show it. If you want to kill him, fine, just don't show it. However, demon cultivators are strong, especially this one. He killed a cultivator of the 6th Zunqi layer in one strike. He also knows 5 different types of abstruse energies: demon, death, curse, soundwave, and immortal abstruse energies. He understands them quite well. Do you understand what I'm saying? 5 types of abstruse energies. Qi Qianxing, Qi Qianren, and the others were astonished. Demon abstruse energy was normal, but the 4 others were extremely rare, especially death, immortal, and cursing abstruse energies. Few people knew those individually, but Lin Feng knew all of them. And Lin Feng hadn't shown all the abstruse energies he knew. Emperor Qi was telling them that Lin Feng wasn't only strong, he was extremely talented. Besides, he was probably hiding much more. Therefore, he hoped his son wouldn't take useless risks. "Father, what should we do then?" asked Qi Qianxing. Qi Qianren couldn't necessarily defeat Lin Feng, so the others couldn't either. "Just gamble and slowly give him 100 victories," said Emperor Qi calmly. Qi Qianxing's heart sank. Lin Feng only had 8 victories. So how many people did the Qi clan need to sacrifice to give him 100 victories? Emperor Qi's goal was to prevent Qi Qianren from taking any risks. "All right," said Qi Qianxing, nodding. Then he looked for other people to go and fight Lin Feng. He was looking for people the Qi clan didn't necessarily care about, people who weren't related to them by blood. Lin Feng was still standing on the stage, and the one who had cheated remained silent. Then, he disappeared into the crowd. "The Qi clan doesn't have any more fighters?" asked Lin Feng. "I'll fight you," said a voice coming from the top of Qi Tian Peak. It was a cultivator of the 3rd Zun Qi layer. Everybody was surprised. Could a cultivator of the 3rd Zun Qi layer fight against Lin Feng? Besides, his Qi was different, he actually looked very ordinary. "Die!" Lin Feng rose up in the air and punched that cultivator, killing him instantly. Lin Feng was surprised too, but he quickly understood what the Qi clan was doing. Emperor Qi looked calm and serene too, as if what he was doing wasn't humiliating. People descended from the sky, one after the other. Lin Feng killed each, and every one of them with a single punch each time. His number of victories kept increasing. That demon cultivator is oppressing the Qi clan, and nobody strong is willing to fight him, thought the crowd. They thought even more highly of Lin Feng. The Qi clan had many geniuses, so if they had a cultivator who could defeat Lin Feng, they would have already sent him on stage. But since the Qi clan decided to sacrifice people, it meant that they had nobody as strong as Lin Feng. 40 victories, the Qi clan already lost more than 30 people, thought the crowd. If Emperor Qi had known someone would do that, he would have changed the rules before. For example, he would have said that it wasn't possible to fight on the same stage all the time. This time, his punch didn't kill his opponent outright. In a flash, a terrifying energy surrounded Lin Feng, surprising him. Slash! A dazzling sword light descended from the sky. It was so bright that he couldn't do anything besides squint above. He had the feeling that the sword was going to pierce through his head. An assassin, thought Lin Feng. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously, and condensed demonic qi. A gigantic demon king appeared, and rose up in the air with his fist raised. Kacha! The sword lights broke apart and the cultivator died. Come back! Lin Feng's insane demon then disappeared. That was a demon king? And how come the demon cultivator on the stage had almost died to that assassin? That assassin attacked me in the same way as the assassins from the Assassin Union do. Are there assassins from the Union inside the Qi clan? Thought Lin Feng. Did they collaborate? Lin Feng didn't know anything at this point, he could only guess. The Qi clan. Lin Feng raised his head, and looked at the members from the Qi clan, at the top of Qi Tian Peak. He realized that everything was more complex than he had previously thought. For example, the shrines of Jiuyu, and the visitors inside Bahuang. Next one, said Emperor Qi calmly. Someone else descended from the sky. As before, Lin Feng defeated him in one punch, racking over 50 victories. Since the Qi clan likes to play, I'll have the honor of keeping them company until the end, said Lin Feng. He rose up in the air, and left for Sikong clan's battle stage. Die! Lin Feng aggressively punched the air in the direction of the cultivator from the Sikong clan, who was standing on the stage. That cultivator had 4 victories already, but Lin Feng still killed him in a flash, and jumped onto another battle stage. The crowd was astonished because that demon cultivator was killing people, one after the other without stopping. They didn't understand that Lin Feng was choosing his prey though methodically. After that he killed some people from the Church of Desire, then from the Sunset Pavilion. Then he jumped on the battle stage of Tianlong Divine Castle. At that moment, the strong cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle already had 25 victories. He had the strength of the top of the 5th Zunqi layer, so he was considerably strong. However, once he saw Lin Feng, His mouth twitched and he looked scared. Die, said Lin Feng. Demonic intent rolled in waves as he threw himself at the opponent. Demon Qi and Bestial Qi collided, and after a short time, the strong cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle was lying on the ground with a large hole in his chest. What are you doing? Shouted a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer furiously. He had been paying attention to Lin Feng, so now he was furious. Lin Feng had humiliated the Qi clan for a while, and now he was attacking people from the Church of Desire, the Xikong clan, and now from Tianlong. He had just killed a cultivator who had the potential to win 100 times. He doesn't want to let any cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle reach 100 victories, thought the crowd. Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan's people were furious. They couldn't stand it anymore. Chapter 1383, Mengqing vs. The Dragon Prince. A cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Tianlong whispered to Emperor Tianlong, "Teacher, send the 9th prince to kill him." Emperor Tianlong opened his eyes after he heard that. Only high officials from Tianlong Divine Castle knew about the 9th prince of Tianlong Divine Castle. Those who were part of a group called the 9 Heroes could be considered great children or adopted sons. Those 9 heroes had an incredible social status within the hierarchy of Tianlong Divine Castle, and they had all broken through to the Zun Qi layer a long time ago already. The 9th prince had already reached the top of the 4th Zun Qi layer. The other 5 princes had all broken through to the 5th Zun Qi layer and above. The 9 princes were Tianlong Divine Castle's trump cards. No need to resort to such aggressive methods immediately. They must remain discreet and continue acting as spies in the crowd. They can't go accepting open challenges just yet. This is only the first round, and I want all of them to move on to the next round, explained Emperor Tianlong. That cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer nodded. Of course, all those influential imperial groups had trump cards similar to Tianlong Divine Castle. Also, send Little 7 to Tiantai's battle stage, so that he can kill Xue Linglong, said Emperor Tianlong in a low voice. That cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer nodded. Lin Feng didn't know what they were saying. After he killed the cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle, he glanced around, and his silhouette flickered away. He surprisingly landed on the battle stage of the Heavens of Desire's palace. Was he going to harass beautiful women now? The girl on the stage had already talked to Lin Feng before. At that moment, her veil was torn apart, and her beautiful face was now visible. She was surprised to see Lin Feng. She smiled and said, "If you want to fight against me, I can only surrender." "How could I fight against such beauty? If I attack, you'll definitely win," said Lin Feng, smiling and gazing into the distance. He could see a beautiful woman in the distance, Yiren Lei. "All right, if that's the case, I'm going to attack now," said that girl, smiling resplendently. An illusion appeared and Lin Feng appeared inside it. A beautiful woman slowly walked towards him, lifting up her skirt, showing her thighs. "Prince, please make love to me," said that girl in a seductive way. Lin Feng just had to nod and she'd take off her skirt and become his sex slave. "You're such a beautiful woman. You'll find a good boyfriend in the future," said Lin Feng, smiling thinly. That girl smiled thinly, and suddenly a fist moved towards him. It hit him, and he was propelled away. People who had been paying attention to Lin Feng were astonished. He had just given his victory points to that girl. What a bastard. He had killed people from the Qi clan, Tianlong Divine Castle, the Church of Desire, and now he was helping the beautiful girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace. That demon was a pervert. "Thank you, master," said the beautiful girl, smiling and bowing before Lin Feng. However, she also looked a little angry, because Lin Feng hadn't made love to her in the illusion. "I'm happy if you're qualified," said Lin Feng. People were now convinced that he was a pervert, killing men to give his points to women. "Bastard!" shouted a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. He was furious. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Feng. The members from the Qi clan were furious too. What a bastard! He had blamed members from the Qi clan for offering points, and now he was doing the same. If they could do it, he could do it too. What a pervert! Irunlei looked at him angrily. Surprisingly, he was giving his points to her fellow disciples and making them fall in love with him. Irunlei, did you? Said the incredibly beautiful Empress, smiling. Teacher, said Irunlei, blushing. The Empress laughed and said, not bad, but isn't he a bit too aggressive? Lin Feng continued killing people from the Qi clan, a few dozen even. Then he killed some other cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle, who had the potential to get 100 victories. Then he continued killing people from the Church of Desire and the Sikong clan. Teacher, he must be insane, said Irunlei, smiling thinly. The Empress nodded and smiled. Lin Feng continued stealing victory points, and then went back to that beautiful girl and offered her his points again. Finally, she was qualified for the next round. The cultivators from the Sikong clan and the Qi clan obtained a few victory points from challengers, but very quickly, Lin Feng came back and took them from them. He's getting his revenge because we stole the demon flute from him, thought Sikong Xiao. Lin Feng raised his head, as if he had sensed that Sikong Xiao was looking at him. Then their eyes met for a moment. They were very far from each other, but with their strength, they knew that the other one had been to a shrine. A day passed and even more people obtained 100 victories. But as before, one influential imperial group still didn't have any cultivator who had obtained 100 victories. Tianlong Divine Castle. It was all because of Lin Feng. At that moment, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged. It was as if he could go and kill someone at any time. At that moment, Lin Feng had 80 victory points, but he didn't hurry to give them to someone because he was now paying attention to the battle stage of Tiantai. Meng Qing was on their stage now. She looked beautiful and was killing people, one after the other with her ice-cold energies. Her empty space illusion had become an incredible asset. Lin Feng bit his lips. He felt jealous from everyone else watching her. He wanted to hug her and prevent people from looking at her. At that moment, someone jumped onto Tiantai's battle stage. He was a cultivator at the top of the 5th Zunqi layer. His qi wasn't incredible, but he looked dangerous. Lin Feng didn't know if that cultivator could defeat Meng Qing or not. They started fighting, snowflakes floating around them. That person punched the air in Meng Qing's direction. It was a seemingly ordinary attack, but just before it reached Meng Qing, it turned into a terrifying dragon illusion, which opened its mouth and bared its fangs. Boom! Lin Feng's heart felt like it was going to explode. Lin Feng jumped, suddenly surrounded by demonic qi. However, the crowd was watching Meng Qing and that cultivator fight, so they didn't pay any attention to Lin Feng. Even though Meng Qing had broken through to the 2nd Zunqi layer and was quite strong, it seemed like she had hidden her real strength up to that point. At that moment, snowflakes turned into sharp blades and moved towards that cultivator. Then, snow petals emerged from her hands, and she used her so close yet so far spell, so that the dragon couldn't get to her. What a terrifying holy celestial qi, thought the crowd. With such a strength, she could easily defeat cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Chapter 1384. Sly Methods. Meng Qing's cultivation is different, thought Lin Feng, glancing at the blade-sharp snowflakes. Lin Feng remembered that Meng Qing had memories, which only presented to her once she hit higher levels of cultivation. Meng Qing and her opponent were both astonishingly strong. Even the battle stage Emperor Nyoemo had made was shaking violently. Tianlong Divine Castle, very good, thought Lin Feng. He rose up in the air, and his demonic energies rolled in waves in the air. Now some people were noticing him. I hate people who attack beautiful women. Mu Feng's voice rolled in waves. Little Seven looked at Mu Feng in an ice-cold way, and a dragon launched towards him. Mu Feng groaned coldly and demonic lights emerged from his eyes, instantly destroying the dragon. What do you think? I bet I can kill you easily, said the 7th prince from Tianlong in a cold way, while still fighting Meng Qing. Is that so? If you agree to it, we can fight now. If we each decide to, nobody can prevent us from fighting, said Mu Feng. Little Seven didn't say anything as Meng Qing continued releasing holy celestial qi. Her energies were even more terrifying than before. Tiantai was also amazed. They hadn't thought Meng Qing could be that strong. She was stronger than the emperor's direct disciples even. Arg! Little Seven shouted furiously as a gigantic, sanguinary red dragon appeared. Red lights illuminated the white snow, but holy celestial lights surrounded the dragon. The space around them kept exploding, and those who were watching too close were suffocating. That cultivator must be a member from Tianlong Divine Castle. It's the first time he has shown himself, and he wants to kill Lin Feng's wife, Meng Qing, thought the crowd around the battle stage. Finally, the destructive energies disappeared and Meng Qing's mouth was bleeding. But the strong cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle wasn't in any better shape. His dragon scales were broken, and he was covered in blood. Little Seven raised his head and glanced at Meng Qing. Then he shouted furiously and left. He couldn't kill Meng Qing, so he quickly left. Mu Feng glanced at him in a cold way, and jumped towards Tiantai's battle stage. Bzzz. Someone rose up in the air at the same time, and his chi was terrifying. He had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer. Mu Feng moved like the wind and shouted coldly, "Stop." His voice emitted a sound wave which contained death chi and cursing energies. That person turned around and saw Mu Feng's demonic intent heading towards him. So he said, "Piss off. Piss off, piss off, piss off," that voice echoed. That person moved far away from Mu Feng in the blink of an eye. With that, Mu Feng jumped onto Tiantai's battle stage first. Empty space agility technique. Mu Feng recognized the empty space agility technique as that guy left. Only the Qi clan knew that agility technique. Mu Feng smiled and said, "Tianlong Divine Castle, and the Qi clan already joined hands, I see. I hate people who fight against such beautiful women. I think I'll exterminate all the cultivators from the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle, preventing any of them from reaching 100 victories. Prevent strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan from reaching 100 victories?" He wanted to prevent any more of their cultivators from qualifying for the next round? Mu Feng smiled at Meng Qing and said, "It is an honor for me to be on the same battle stage as such an incredibly beautiful woman. I wish we could get more intimate. I am even willing to give you my victory points." He's a real pervert, thought the crowd speechless. He had offered points to the beautiful women from Heavens of Desire's palace. And now there was a beautiful woman on Tiantai's battle stage. So he wanted to offer his points to her as well. What a bastard. He's flirting with Meng Qing, thought some people from Tiantai. Lin Feng was dead. So even though Meng Qing used to be his wife, she probably wouldn't remain single for the rest of her life. In that regard, many people wanted to start a relationship with her, especially those from Tiantai since Meng Qing had spent so much time with them. Mu Chen smiled and said, "What a guy." Meng Qing glanced at Mu Feng humorously. Still, she tried to release ice-cold energies at him. Boom! Meng Qing punched Mu Feng, but he didn't dodge it. Instead, he opened his arms and hugged her. This caused many people to grind their teeth, especially those people from Tiantai. Vitality energies emerged from Mu Feng's body and circulated through Meng Qing's body. Mu Feng smiled and said in a gentle way, "Take care, celestial girl." Then he left the battle stage. Thanks to his victory points, Meng Qing was now qualified. After Mu Feng left, he went straight towards the Qi clan's battle stage and immediately destroyed the strong cultivator who was on it. After killing that person, he went to Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage. He's furious because the 7th Dragon Prince attacked Meng Qing. That demon cultivator really is a pervert, thought the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle. Mu Feng was in line next to fight in the battle stage, but he could sense some sharp energies surrounding his body. He loves women, so he offers women his victory points. If he goes to our stage again, make someone offer him 99 points. Then we'll see how he can prevent our fighters from moving on to the next round, said Emperor Tianlong, without opening his eyes. His voice was ice-cold though. "Teacher, you're so smart," said the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. He immediately disappeared from there with a few people. After Mu Feng killed the cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage, cultivators took more and more time to back on the stage. They began to pretend that they needed more time to send their people. Besides, Each time they sent people, they sent the weakest ones. So people understood what Tianlong Divine Castle was doing. They were doing the same thing as the Qi clan. They were giving Mu Feng points. At some point, Mu Feng was surprised because Tianlong Divine Castle had sent a girl to the stage. Mu Feng was speechless. He wasn't the only one, everybody was. Ha ha ha, Tianlong Divine Castle is so funny. How ridiculous. Mu Feng burst into laughter and said to the referee, "Take my victory points." Tianlong Divine Castle's people turned red with fury. Their cheeks were burning. During the second round, send the 9 princes to kill him. We'll see what he does then, said Emperor Tianlong. Mu Feng jumped off the stage. Very quickly, that girl was thrown off the stage by a challenger who took her victory points. After that, Mu Feng wanted to go back to their battle stage. But Mu Feng saw a cultivator with 99 victory points arrive to their stage. He lost, giving his 99 victory points to the cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle, instantly allowing them to qualify for the next round. The meeting of the emperors is fun, but it's not related to strength or cultivation. It's just a huge theme park. The Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle are so funny. They are weak, but they still find ways to get qualified. However, even if they qualify, they'll soon die anyways, said Mu Feng as he stopped paying attention to them. He couldn't kill their most outstanding cultivators, since they didn't send them to the stage, but at least, he had made them lose some face. Chapter 1385. An Imperial Dialogue Bastard, shouted someone from the top of Qitian Peak. There were many gray areas with the rules, and the Qi clan had made it that way on purpose. They benefited from those gray areas, and so did Tianlong Divine Castle. Mu Feng benefited from them too, but not as obviously as them. However, why were the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle not acting as discreet? Mu Feng wouldn't have been so obvious if they hadn't started it first. Die. During the second round I must kill him, said Qi Qianren furiously. At that moment, Emperor Qi opened his eyes and looked directly at Mu Feng, surprising him. He raised his head and looked back at the emperor. Emperor Qi. Mu Feng's eyes were filled with aggressive demonic intent. It seemed that even the emperor didn't scare him. The Qi clan had repeatedly attacked Tiantai and had banished him. They had also tried to kill his friends and family. Mu Feng only had one thing on his mind: to kill them. You're right, I made a mistake. The rules weren't perfect, so let's change them now. If someone loses a battle, they will be eliminated and can't continue participating at the meeting of the emperors. That way, these problems won't keep happening. What do the other emperors think? Asked Emperor Qi. Even though he was furious, he looked calm and serene. That guy surprisingly made the emperor change the rules, thought the crowd. I agree too, said the emperors from Tianlong Divine Castle, and of the Xikong clan immediately. I agree as well, said the emperor from the Church of Desire. They were all staring at Mu Feng. They wanted to see what he would do if he couldn't offer victory points to other people. How many people could Mu Feng kill without losing? If Mu Feng made it to their battle stage, they'd have their cultivators surrender. All the emperors agreed. Even if some of them didn't, they had no choice but to agree. Are you satisfied now? Asked Emperor Qi to Mu Feng. I don't care. You guys were the only ones who took advantage of the gray areas of the rules. I was just playing along with you, said Mu Feng in a cold way. He's not scared of offending Emperor Qi, thought the crowd. If he managed to become a cultivation emperor someday, he'd kill them too. So you understood, said Emperor Qi, smiling indifferently. What he meant was that Mu Feng had understood how emperors played with the rules, and surprisingly, he had recklessly done the same. Of course I understood, said Mu Feng, smiling. Then he jumped and landed next to the Qi clan's battle stage. Are you trying to threaten me? If someone threatened Mu Feng, he usually killed them. Even if he couldn't offer victory points anymore, he could still kill 100 people. He wanted to see how many victims the Qi clan would give him. Emperor Qi slowly closed his eyes and whispered to Qi Qianxing, who was behind him, make him tired first and then use the power of the empire. Roger, said Qi Qianxing, nodding. His father was furious, and wanted Mu Feng to die. Mu Feng was waiting next for the battle stage. After a short while, someone descended from the sky. That cultivator had broken through to the 5th Zun Qi layer, and had white eyes. He looked like a corpse and his qi was ice cold. Mu Feng frowned. What a strange person, but he didn't care. He jumped onto the battle stage. The battle began, and the cultivator threw himself at Mu Feng, like an animated body might throw itself at someone. Mu Feng punched him, and his body exploded. After that cultivator died, a second, a third, a fourth cultivator, and so on came onto the stage. Quickly Mu Feng had 10 victories. However, Mu Feng frowned, because those people didn't look like members of the Qi clan. They had no blood, and they were seemingly lifeless. They didn't even look scared before dying. Zombies. After Mu Feng killed the 11th cultivator, he left the battle stage, because he didn't want to waste his time fighting against dead people. The Qi clan really was shameless. The members of the Qi clan were surprised when they saw him leave. They wanted to offer him 100 victories, but he didn't seem to want to take them. After Mu Feng left, he went to kill a cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle, and then glanced around, watching the battles. Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan were well prepared. I need to become stronger, and when the right time comes, I'll kill their geniuses, thought Lin Feng. He needed more time to become stronger before the end of the first round. Many strong cultivators had appeared during the first round, so the second round wouldn't be easy. Mu Feng went to the battle stages where cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer were fighting. There were already many people around those battle stages. People who weren't cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer could also participate, but it was risky. Mu Feng stood a bit away from the battle stages, because he didn't want to get too close. Most of the crowd was the same, because those battles were dangerous. A majority of cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, who are younger than 200 years, have broken through to the 7th Zun Qi layer. There are very few people of the 9th Zun Qi layer, and they primarily belong to influential imperial groups, thought Lin Feng. Mu Feng got closer to the 3 battle stages, and sat down cross-legged. He released his spirit, and his eyes became pitch black. He could now clearly and distinctly see each movement made on the 3 stages. Time passed by in the valley. There were still many people, but less than before. Many had already died, and those still alive were fighting. There were many people, and even after 3 days of battles, there were still many battles left. Only around Tiantai's battle stage were there less people. Not many people from Tiantai battled, but each time a fighter showed up, they were incredibly strong. Emperor, you didn't even let Qiu Xi in battle, but I wonder if she will battle later. Emperor Yu seems to hope that each fighter they send will get qualified. During those 3 days, Tiantai sent more than 30 fighters and all of them qualified. Even though some assassins attacked them and made their battles difficult, they always ended up winning. Tiantai had few people, but in the end, they had the highest winning ratio. Chapter 1386. Insane battle. There was nobody left on Tiantai's battle stage after the 5th day. All their members were back on a peak, sitting cross-legged. There were 38 people who all had a golden number carved on their body. 100. It meant that 38 people from Tiantai were qualified to move on to the next level, and 30 of them had been eliminated. There were 2 reasons. First, those who had waited until the end were weak. They had planned to practice and see if they'd have the opportunity to win 100 times near the end of the event. After the rules changed, they could no longer participate unlimitedly. The second reason involved assassins who continuously attacked them. People were still fighting on some of the other battle stages. Apart from Tiantai, cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer should also stop fighting soon. There were only few cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, and because they were so strong, people were more vigilant. Besides, their battles lasted longer than other battles. My teacher said it, that every Zun cultivator must walk their own path. They have to possess a pure heart and change the way they perceive and see life. The closer you are to becoming a cultivation emperor, the more you understand your path, your life, and the consequences of your previous actions in life, thought Lin Feng. still sitting down cross-legged. During the past few days, he had been observing battles while not participating. He wanted to become stronger, so he decided to watch the battles between the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer most of the time. Mu Feng had sensed their energies, he had observed their moves. He also understood their state of mind, for they were usually calmer than ordinary people. It seemed like they controlled themselves better than most. I am now practicing demon cultivation, is that a path though? Thought Lin Feng. He had doubts. His demonic intent flowed throughout his body as he stood up and walked towards the battle stage, where cultivators the top of the Zunqi layer fought. If he had a path to choose, it'd definitely be the path of a fighter. A cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, who had just defeated a cultivator, suddenly sensed Mu Feng's oppressive energies in the distance. He turned around and looked at Mu Feng. Even though they were separated by 10,000 meters, he could still sense Mu Feng's powerful energies. It was almost as powerful as his own qi. The cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer in the surroundings also sensed Mu Feng's energies. A cultivator at the top of the second Zunqi layer could oppress a cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer? "Let's fight," shouted a voice. "Fight, fight, fight." Those words resonated in the atmosphere. "Let's fight," shouted that cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer before he jumped forwards. Mu Feng landed on the stage was suddenly surrounded by terrifying energies. The strength from the earth and sky surrounded him. The space around them became sad, desolate and gloomy. Energies were apocalyptically rolling in waves. Terrifying waves of energies moved towards that cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. Boom, boom! Their energies collided, making it look like a battle between titans. Gotcha! After that, the two cultivators collided for the first time, and a few hundred-meter explosion appeared in the air. Mu Feng was propelled backwards, but he felt more determined than ever. His demonic energies were still dashing to the skies. Then the force from the earth and sky fused together with his demonic intent before he jumped again. Gotcha! This time, Mu Feng had the impression his bones were going to break. He was propelled backwards again, but as before, he felt even more determined. Each successive attack became even more terrifying. "Fight!" shouted Mu Feng again. He then threw himself at the cultivator again. Blood splashed and his face became deathly pale. His organs felt like they were going to explode. However, he continued releasing demonic energies and making them fuse together with the force from the earth and sky. However, Mu Feng threw himself at the cultivator again. Each time they collided, the people around them shook their heads. Mu Feng was insane, was he masochist? He's borrowing the force of the earth and sky and transforming it, realized some people. Even the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, who Mu Feng was fighting, thought he was insane. He was injured, and he kept healing himself with vitality strength. He looked insane, but at the same time, he admired Mu Feng. Unfortunately, he had to defeat him, or else he wouldn't be qualified. "Die," he said. "Die," shouted Mu Feng as well. Mu Feng seemed to become one with the earth and sky at that moment. His fists collided with his opponent again. This time, he had condensed even more demonic energy inside. Boom! Mu Feng wasn't propelled backwards this time. Instead, he was steadily standing on the stage. His eyes became even darker as he stared back at his opponent. "Die, die, die!" shouted Mu Feng furiously. He continuously released death energies from his fist, and he punched his opponent over and over again. Both of them disappeared from the crowd's field of vision as the qi surrounded them. My deadly demon punch seems even more perfect when I fuse it together with the force of the earth and sky. It seems to be 3 times more powerful, thought Lin Feng. He had many thoughts at the same time. He was analyzing the battle in real time to see how he could become stronger. If he could break through to the 3rd Zunqi layer, that'd be for the best. The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer was doing the same thing as Mu Feng. He was analyzing his own moves and Mu Feng's. He wanted to understand why he couldn't defeat him. "I'll try to absorb the insane demon strength and make it fuse together with my blood and soul," thought Lin Feng. A demon king silhouette then appeared, empowering his qi even more. Mu Feng's blood was boiling and flames had appeared in his eyes. He'll break through to the third Zun Qi layer if this continues, thought the crowd after they sensed Mu Feng's qi. Banished crushed. Feng Xian sighed. Lin Feng had only broken through to the 9th Tian Qi layer, so there was no way he could have survived the broken empty space. Just now, Mu Feng had defeated the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. He still wanted to fight. He was fixedly staring at Mu Feng from a crater in the ground. He had lost to a cultivator at the top of the second Zun Qi layer. Mu Feng raised his head and closed his eyes, then demon qi dashed to the skies. I'm at the very, very top of the second Zun Qi layer. I need to do something more, thought Lin Feng, reopening his eyes. Mu Feng now had more than 50 victories. Bzz. Mu Feng disappeared from the battle stage and landed on Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage. He appeared extremely aggressive as he punched the cultivator there and made him explode. How weak! Had he become stronger since a day or two ago, or had he been hiding his strength before? Mu Feng then landed on Xikong clan's battle stage and punched someone. Their head exploded as well. Then the battle stage of the Qi clan. Same thing, one punch, one explosion. How weak! Mu Feng returned to the mountains to practice cultivation. The Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle really were too weak for him. He could punch most of their people and kill them instantly. Mu Feng couldn't go to the other battle stages with the cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, because one of them had a cultivator of the 9th Zun Qi layer, and there was a cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer with 60 victories. Besides, if he defeated the cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer, he'd have more than 100 victories and wouldn't be able to continue killing people. Mu Feng closed his eyes and meditated. 2 more days passed, and the first round was soon going to end soon. Of course, some people who hadn't accepted open challenges had also dazzled. 9 people who seemed to be from Tianlong Divine Castle had surprised people with their seemingly real dragon bodies. The weakest one had the strength at the top of the Zun Qi layer. The strongest one had broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer. Even though they were discreet, they still attracted people's attention, especially the emperor's attention. Finally, all the battles were gradually finishing, soon putting the first round to an end. Qi Yanfei had broken through to the 3rd Zun Qi layer, and was an incredible warrior who could defeat people at the top of the 6th Zun Qi layer. He already had 42 victories, so not many people could defeat him. Qi Yanfei is quite strong. He's even stronger than Tian Su and Tian Sheng. If he had come back earlier, Tian Sheng wouldn't have been considered for one of the 10 strongest young cultivators of Ba Huang, said Qi Qianxing laughing. Qi Tian Su pulled a long face. He had 100 victories. He had qualified himself for the next round, but Qi Qianrun and the others were still talking about him in a negative way. Boom! On Tianlong Divine Castle's battle stage, someone was assaulted and a corpse landed hit the ground. It's him, Yanfei, Qi Qianxing said upset. He had disappeared for a while and now he was back. Yanfei was in danger. Qi Yanfei saw Mu Feng, but didn't run away. He stayed on the battle stage and released his own oppressive energies. A cultivator of the 2nd Zun Qi layer couldn't defeat him. Yanfei back, get off the battle stage, shouted Qi Qianxing. Qi Yanfei was surprised. He didn't understand why Qi Qianxing was telling him that. Rumbling sounds spread in the air, and Qi Qianxing's face turned deathly pale. He didn't have any time to react as Mu Feng punched Qi Yanfei, killing him on the spot. Mu Feng raised his head and looked at Qi Qianxing with his demonic eyes. Mu Feng then pointed his finger at the members of the Qi clan. Die! Shouted Qi Qianxing furiously. Mu Feng had killed the geniuses of their clan, and now he was provoking him. If it wasn't the meeting of the emperors, he would have killed him long ago. Chapter 1388. You're welcome to join us. Besides, before killing Qi Yanfei, that demon cultivator had killed a member from Tianlong Divine Castle first. If he had done this the other way around, by killing Qi Yanfei first, he would have qualified for the next round instantly. Give me my victories, said Mu Feng to the referee. The referee nodded. Even though he was furious and wanted to kill Mu Feng. He had to remain neutral. But Mu Feng already had more than 100 victories, so he couldn't continue killing people. They would definitely try to kill him during the second round. "Thank you," said Mu Feng. He left after killing Qi Yinfei. He hadn't managed to break through to the third Zun Qi layer, but he was still at the top of the second Zun Qi layer. Leveling up was a mysterious thing. Sometimes, cultivators had to practice cultivation. Sometimes they had to win fights. Sometimes, they had to experience potentially fatal situations. Breaking through to the next cultivation layer was something incredible and enigmatic, without rules. "It seems like I'll have to wait until the second round," thought Lin Feng. He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. He was going to wait for the second round to begin. He wasn't impatient to know what the prize of the meeting of the emperors would be. He was still happy that he had qualified for the second round. He would know what the prize of the meeting of the emperors was sooner or later. No matter what mysteries there were behind the meeting of the emperors, Mu Feng's only goal was to become stronger and to work his way up to killing emperors. Emperor Qi and Emperor Tianlong had to die, and he wanted to kill them himself. Finally, on the 9th day, the last battle finally finished. At the top of Qi Tian Peak, Emperor Qi stood up and said, "The first round of the meeting of the emperors is over. Everybody gather around the valley." The crowd nodded and silhouettes flickered. People rose up in the air and went back to the top of their mountains. People were shocked to see all the bodies from above. So many people had died, and they were all strong cultivators. A single general's reputation is made from 10,000 bodies, thought Lin Feng, shivering. "All those who have qualified, stand in the air above the valley, so that I can see how many people there are," said Emperor Qi. Silhouettes flickered, and those who were qualified appeared in the air. Mu Feng was among them. Amongst the crowd must be 40-50 people, which belonged to influential imperial groups, including those who weren't hiding, and those who were at the top of the Zun Qi layer. There must have been more than 1,600 people, thought the crowd. "There are too many people. Divide into groups according to the group you belong to. Those who don't belong to any influential imperial group, don't move," said Emperor Qi. All those who were qualified and belonged to a body of influence jumped onto their initial battle stages. Those who had the most qualified people were Tiantai, who had also finished before everyone else. The Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle had the least people, with only about 30 people. "Alright, now, those who don't belong to any influential imperial group, join an influential imperial group for the time being," said Emperor Qi. Many silhouettes flickered. As people landed on stages, the crowd was guessing that many of them secretly belonged to that group. Surprisingly, initially, Tiantai had the most qualified people, but now they had even fewer people than the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle. Mu Feng groaned coldly and glanced at the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle. They had cheated more than anyone else. Luckily, he had killed many of their people. Some people really didn't belong to any groups of influence, and they were still standing in the sky. Some of them were incredible geniuses though. "Brother Mu Feng, the Devamara Palace welcomes you," said Xiaoyu to Mu Feng. The Devamara Palace had a demon emperor. They knew that such an incredible genius could quickly become an emperor. If he joined the Devamara Palace for the meeting, maybe he would stay with them after. "Prince Mu Feng, wouldn't you be happy to be surrounded by beautiful girls? The Heavens of Desire's Palace would love to welcome you," said the beautiful girl from the Heavens of Desire's Palace. She was still trying to seduce Mu Feng. The incredibly beautiful Empress of the Heavens of Desire's Palace smiled at Mu Feng in a meaningful way. He glanced at Renlei. Did the Empress know about him? Qiu Xian groaned coldly. She had also qualified, and was standing on Tiantai's battle stage. She had broken through to the third Zun Qi layer, and was already quite strong. Mu Feng didn't know what to do. He glanced at Qiu Xian, and smiled wryly. She was jealous. The others saw that Qiu Xian looked angry. But that made sense because he had tried to flirt with her too. What a perverted demon. The crowd was angry too. Mu Feng was a pervert, but he was strong. He considered everybody and everything beneath his notice, but girls still adored him. "I like cold girls," said Mufeng. Then, he smiled at Xiao Yu and the beautiful girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace and said, "Brother Xiao girls, thank you for your invitation." Then, he jumped onto Tiantai's battle stage. He's a pervert, but this time it won't be easy for him. Xiao Yu Xian was in love with Lin Feng, and now she's become a merciless killer. He surely can't replace Lin Feng, thought the crowd. "Being able to see you again is my honor," said Mufeng, smiling at Xiao Yu Xian. Xiao Yu Xian bit her lips, holding herself back from hurting Mufeng, because he was acting even more insolent. "Really happy to see you again, girls," said Mufeng, smiling at Meng Qing and Xiao Yu Xian together. Meng Qing rolled her eyes, but remained silent. They also played along with Lin Feng's game, making everybody believe he was a perverted demon cultivator. Mu Chen smiled in a meaningful way, and Emperor Yu nodded at Mufeng. Everybody was speechless after Emperor Yu nodded at Mufeng. Then the different influential imperial groups recruited the remaining people. Apart from Mufeng, there were many other geniuses. Chapter 1389. Destroy Tiantai first. At the top of the Qi Tian Peak, Emperor Qi glanced at the crowd and said, "Now, I'm going to tell you the rules of the second round. There are 22 battle stages, and this time, we won't separate cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer from the others. This time, each of the 22 groups will choose one cultivator. Then those 22 cultivators will fight each other. People who are kicked out of the battle stage or who die will be eliminated. The fight will continue until 11 cultivators are left. Then, the battle must stop." Emperor Qi wasn't done talking though. Also, cultivators won't know who they will fight. Once the referee announces the beginning of a battle, each group must send a cultivator immediately, without wasting a second or hesitating. Otherwise, they'll have to choose one person to eliminate. Continued Emperor Qi. Luck played a big role in that round. All the groups could only send one person at a time. Therefore, strength was the most important thing, strength and luck. Of course, some groups will have no more cultivators to send after a while. When that happens, they'll just watch. Those who still have cultivators will send them, and as before, battles will continue until half of them have been eliminated. And as before, it's forbidden to use holy weapons. "What do the emperors think of these rules?" asked Emperor Qi. "I agree," said the emperor from the Sikong clan immediately. Everybody knew that they were allied, so the crowd was wondering, during each round, if their cultivators would join hands. "I agree as well," said Emperor Tianlong. The Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle were also allies. The one clan was worried, along with Tiantai, concerning the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle. "I agree. So do I." The beast emperors from the brutal part of Bahuang also agreed. "I agree," said Emperor Peng. The other beasts had agreed, because they wanted to fight against the cultivators from Bestial Imperial Palace. "I agree as well," said the beautiful Empress from the Heavens of Desire's palace. In group battles, they usually held the advantage. They could seduce many men at the same time, and besides, they had never offended anyone there. "I agree as well," said the Empress from the Fairyland of the Nine Songs. Very quickly, all the emperors agreed. "All right, since it's that way, everybody go back to your mountains and get ready to send people. Meanwhile, Emperor Nyoemo, please prepare the battle stages again," said Emperor Qi. Then, Emperor Nyoemo prepared the central battle stage, while everybody went back to their respective groups. This time, he made a battle stage which was hundreds of meters wide. With that, it would be easier for 22 people to fight on it simultaneously. Mufeng followed the others back to a mountain. He stayed next to Meng Qing and Xiao Yu Xian the entire time. Many people who had participated or were qualified looked at him furiously. Many of them were strangers to Mufeng. Actually, he didn't know that many people in Tiantai, and many of them must have been recruited later. "Teacher, won't the cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan join hands to fight against us? Last time they did, and had almost completely annihilated us. Even worse, now we have a bastard who offended them, giving them a reason to join hands again and attack us," said a purple-eyed young man to Emperor Yu. It seems like I'm not welcome here, said Mu Feng, looking at the purple-eyed young man with his pitch-black eyes. That young man was talented, but he had only broken through to the first Zunqi layer. Tiantai didn't invite you here. You're just a perverted piece of trash, said the purple-eyed young man. Then, surprisingly, he walked to Qiu Yuxian and Meng Qing and said, If you think you can sleep with Meng Qing and Yuxian, you're insane. Mu Feng looked at him in a cold way. He wouldn't have thought that there'd be people who didn't like him inside Tiantai. In the past, he was Mu Feng, one of the emperor's direct disciples. Meng Qing was his wife, and Yuxian was his girlfriend. Of course, nobody dared cast greedy eyes on them then. But now that he was supposed to be dead, that purple-eyed young man was showing interest in them. If I'm a piece of trash, what are you? I can kill you by simply glancing at you or asking you to die, said Mu Feng. With that, the purple-eyed young man had a dejected face. You're only an insect, yet you dare cast such greedy eyes on these celestial beings? You're the weak piece of trash, said Mu Feng. Yuxian, said that purple-eyed young man. Fuck off, shouted Qiu Yuxian coldly. The purple-eyed young man was furious and looked even more upset. I'm not your friend, so be respectful, shouted Qiu Yuxian. I'm so sorry, said the purple-eyed young man. He looked like a buffoon now. Mu Feng smiled coldly. At the beginning, he didn't think anything about that purple-eyed young man. But now he hated him. The second round is going to start. You can decide for yourselves what the order of the battles will be. Just tell Mu Chen when you want to fight. If someone says they want to fight, but are too late, then be ready to give up, said Emperor Yu indifferently. He didn't care about the tensions between Mu Feng and the purple-eyed young man. Understood, teacher. All right, teacher. Everybody nodded and told Mu Chen when they wanted to fight. I think many groups will send some of their stronger cultivators during the first battle. We can choose to give up or fight. But I think that none of you wants to give up. So we will fight, right? Who wants to fight first? Asked Mu Chen. I'll go, said Wuxia indifferently. We'll see how strong those people are. Unless they are incredible, I won't give up. All right, I'm not worried about you, replied Mu Chen nodding. Wuxia would participate to the first battle, which seemed like a good idea, because those who could compete with Wuxia were rare. We'll see what the first battle is like before we decide on participants for the other battles, said Mu Chen in a grave and solemn way. Everybody nodded back excitedly. Are you all ready? Asked Emperor Qi. The referee then said, When I say start, you have a second to come out and land on the stage. Otherwise you'll be eliminated. Now get ready, we'll start in 10 seconds, said the referee. 10 seconds then passed and he said, Start. It was impossible to see who'd come out in that second, so nobody could anticipate. If you fall off the stage or die, you'll be eliminated. When I say stop, everybody must stop, otherwise you'll be eliminated, said the referee. All right, let the second round begin. Start, said the referee. He rose up in the air and looked down at the battle stage. Die, shouted someone furiously. It was a member of the Qi clan, who had a strength at the top of the 6th Zunqi layer. Tianlong Divine Castle had sent a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer too. They both attacked Wuxia at the same time. Bastards, the Qi clan and Tianlong Divine Castle are joining hands to fight Tiantai right away, thought Tiantai's people. Chapter 1390. Cruel battle dragons roared as terrifying energies surrounded Wuxia. At the same time, Wuxia released sword energies and sealed the space around them. Then he released desolate energies which enveloped their bodies. Wuxia's desolate abstruse energy is already level 7. The cultivator from the Qi clan is at the 6th Zunqi layer and has level 7 abstruse energy. The cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle seems oppressed though. That's a difficult battle, but Wuxia maybe has some trump cards, thought Lin Feng. He imagined what he would do in such a situation. What if Tianlong Divine Castle, the Qi clan, the Church of Desire, and the Sikong clan joined hands to fight against him? For him, the rules of the second round weren't very beneficial. What if he had to face cultivators of the 8th and 9th Zunqi layers? It would be a nightmare. But luckily there weren't so many cultivators of the 9th Zunqi layer. Roar! Dragons roared and red lights surrounded Wuxia. The cultivator from the Qi clan was using empty space abstruse energy to wrap Wuxia up. He kept shaking his hands while performing hand seals. Brother Wuxia, thought some people from Tiantai. Slash! Dazzling lights fell down as a sword with millions of changing forms appeared. Metallic ringing sounded as the sword moved towards the strong cultivator from the Qi clan. Decay! Shouted Wuxia furiously. Decay energy surrounded that cultivator, and he began to move slower. He wanted to use his empty space agility technique to run away, but Wuxia caught up with him and yelled, "Slow!" Both the strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan moved slower. Speed abstruse energies. Mu Feng was amazed by how excellent a fighter Wuxia was. At that moment, other people were fighting on the battle stage, but nobody else was joining hands because they were scared that someone could attack them by surprise. Brother Wuxia won't last very long, said someone to Mu Qin. Then 2 weaker cultivators were killed on the battle stage. Things can change in a second. We can't predict the future, said Mu Qin indifferently. He couldn't say anything to stop Wuxia. Besides, if it was just those two, Wuxia wouldn't have too hard a time. Bzzz. At that moment, the strong cultivator from the Sikong clan used his celestial vision on Wuxia, slowing him down as well. Haha, you're doomed, shouted the strong cultivator from the Qi clan furiously. However, at that moment another metallic ringing sounded, and then blood splashed. You, said that cultivator, fixedly staring at when Ao Shui's hell fell over and died. Bzzz. When Ao Shui's silhouette flickered as he threw himself at the cultivator from the Sikong clan. Even though that sword wasn't a holy weapon, it was powerful. Oomph. When Ao Shui threw himself at the cultivator from the Sikong clan, while Wuxia threw himself at the cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle. When Ao Shui has become so strong, no wonder he's close to Wen Tiange, and that they went to the shrine together. He can probably defeat cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Thought Lin Feng. Wuxia will definitely qualify for the next round, thought Lin Feng. As expected, the battle ended and Wuxia was qualified, but the strong cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle was also qualified. Wuxia hadn't managed to kill him. However, when Ao Shui had managed to kill the strong cultivator from the Sikong clan. Second battle, who wants to fight? Asked Mu Qin, while nodding at Wuxia who was coming back. The crowd remained silent. They didn't know who was going to come out. If Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan joined hands to fight against them, when Ao Shui wouldn't be there for them next time. I'm going, said a cultivator at the top of the 4th Zunqi layer, who had been recruited during the first part of the recruitment process. All right, be careful, said Mu Qin nodding at him. Very quickly, the referee started the second battle, and a few seconds later, 22 people appeared on stage. Oh no, thought Mu Qin. The Qi clan had sent another cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. His qi was monstrously powerful. This was dangerous for Tiantai. Don't fight, give up, shouted a loud voice coming from the group of people from Tiantai. Die, shouted the cultivators from the Qi clan. The cultivator from Tiantai, however, listened to Mu Qin and decided to jump off the stage. Boom! The cultivator from Tiantai hurried, but then an explosion sounded. Empty space was blocking his way now. Break! Shouted the cultivator from Tiantai. The eyes of the cultivator from the Qi clan were bloodshot. He suddenly appeared in front of him, grabbing the cultivator from Tiantai and raising him in the air. How strong! That cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer really wants to kill our cultivator, thought some people from Tiantai. They watched as the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer slowly raised their fellow cultivator in the air. Lacerate! Shouted the cultivator. The cultivator from Tiantai gave a horrible shriek, and the empty space energy tore him to shreds. Die ah! The cultivator gave horrible shrieks as he dying tragically. I'll do the next one, said Ho Qinglin. He was upset with himself. He should have done the second battle. From now on, kill people from the Qi clan first, said Mu Qin calmly. He was furious though, and he said that loud enough so that the cultivators from the Qi clan could hear him. The cultivator from the Qi clan on the stage heard him, and further lacerated the remaining body parts from the Tiantai cultivator. Mu Feng was both furious and fearful. What if Meng Qing or Yu Xian ended up like that? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.